you have a Twitch channel, and what you do is usually reenact famous feats from women's aviation history. Tell us
はい、
more
新
a
共
little
和
bit
国
about
パイロッ
yourself
ト
and
で
your
す。
channel if
今
you'd
日
like,
も
for those who might be new.
マイクロソフトフライトシミュ
Yes,
レー
this
ター
is
の
a
公
new
式集
reporting
会に
pilot. Also today,
マイクロソフトフライトシミュレーターの公式集会に参加していきたいと思います。
I would like to participate in the official gathering of Microsoft Flight Simulator.
That took place in 1926, and I'm really happy to be here and letting this story get known because there's not many people that know about it.
That's true. Yeah, we're really excited to share more information about what it was, what happened, all the, there's a lot that happened during the race that might surprise some people. So can't wait to delve into that. And of course, we have Factual Goal. If you've also watched the stream, you may have seen her on our channel or her Twitch channel. Factual Goal is an avid traveler, and she uses
なんかもうみんな離陸してったのかな。
do some virtual tourism, etc.
I guess everyone has already taken off.
And about your Twitch channel.
なんかいつもと違って違ったあれ
It
で
was
すね。
different than usual.
進行ですね。
I use Microsoft Flight Simulator sort of as a
It's the population.
world and enjoy flight, but also enjoy seeing other places and just enjoying the chat and
メインストリー
hanging
ム
out
が
with
ど
people
こ
in
か
the
よくわ
community
からない状態になってま
as
すが。
well as sorry, I'm
The mainstream is in a state where I don't really understand it.
It looks like you're flying through some turbulence.
I was flying through a bit of turbulence, and it's all good. It's all good. Seatbelt signs are now off again.
飛んでいくか。
Yeah, so
よくわからないことに。
Are you going to fly
so
away?
I really enjoy kind of the fun of flight simming. I don't have any real life flight credentials. I was thinking about doing that, but had to put it on hold for some things happening in my real life. But I also kind of like being able to spread the message that I really admire people like Allison and Heidi who have those real life flight credentials and have gone ahead and pursued aviation in real life as well as in flight simming, but also that flight simming is open to everybody, just also to play and have fun. And so I kind of want to
今日170ノット。
It's okay to play. It's okay to
170 knots today.
まあ巡航速度が速いので、ムスタングにしました。
I know it's not a game. It's a sim.
I chose the Mustang because it has a fast cruising speed.
Serious business.
It's serious business. Yeah.
This is a simulator of real aviation only. No fun allowed ever.
Chat, are you here for fun or for serious business? 1 for fun, 2 for serious business. Let's just see where our chat's at on this.
この
I'm just curious.
成金趣味の金ピカ
Well,
マスタン
thank
グ
you,
ですね。
Factual. It's
あ、
great.
フラッ
I
パ
love how
ー
you
忘
use
れ
this
て
sim. And I'm glad you're joining
It's
us.
a shiny Mustang for a
And
wealthy
last but not
hobbyist.
least, we have brand new to our
サンタモニ
channel,
カですね。
Heidi.
なんか今日は
Heidi has a commercial pilot
女性の日かなんかをお祝いする
newly
テ
CFI
ーマの
ratings, is that right?
公式集会でございます。
It's Santa Monitor. Today is an official gathering celebrating something like Women's Day.
で、なんだろう、世界初の女性
I see
エ
her
アレー
webcam,
スかな。
And the world's first woman.
世
世界初の女性エアレースの
コースを飛ぶら
しいです。
It is said that she will be the first woman in the world to fly on the air race course.
There, I got your voice now.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not hearing what was said. I'm
That is
sorry.
okay. How about you tell us just a little bit about yourself and about your channel on Twitch?
Are we having technical issues?
Oh, maybe she can't even hear me at all. We'll have her rejoin then. Well, we'll get back to doing an introduction of Heidi.
Hello, testing.
Testing. Can you hear us?
Yes. Yep.
Maybe not.
Just Heidi.
Am I
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, am I here? Okay, we will get back to her then. Good luck, Heidi. We hope you make it on this flight. But anyway, we are happy to be here today to talk about the 1929 Women's Air Derby.
あれ地図
I'm
に
curious how many people know about it
フラ
in
イト
chat.
プランが出
This
て
on
る
the
1
map.
and 2 for the earlier question. I like to see that. I think a good mix is in good form for flight sim in general.
あしまった大に沿ったまでまあいいか
2.5
入
seriously
った
fun
ままで
business. Thank you, Tito.
Well, I'll keep wearing them until New Year's Eve.
Yeah, Heidi needs to switch to com too. Exactly. I'm seeing. Oh, there might be more ones than twos here. Some random threes. So, that was
Am I
the.
back?
Yeah, are you back? Can you hear me?
Can you hear us?
I am. Yes,
Hooray!
hello, I
こ
can
れが
hear
サン
you.
タの
Oh,
話
yay.
にしようかね
Hi,
Alright,
everybody.
Fantastic.
Why don't we do take
Is
2
this
of
the
that
town of Santa
Take
Monica?
2. I'd like to welcome Heidi Illogical, or Heidi, to the stream. Heidi holds a commercial pilot's license with IFRs and CFI ratings, and we were just saying, correct me if I'm wrong, but you just earned your CFI ratings this week. How did that go? We're kind of curious now if it was so soon. Oh my
Oh
god.
no!
We're never gonna find out how it went. Oh well.
あ隊長だ
That's alright.
I'm feeling well
One of the
again.
pitfalls you run into when doing a live broadcast.
Yeah.
We had all the text sorted before we went live. The 5 of us were having a very pleasant conversation. We were excited to start the stream, and then 5 minutes after we go live, we encounter some tech problems.
Honestly, that's alright. Hopefully we'll get Heidi back soon. But how about we talk about this
うん
race?
隊長はビーチクラフトモデルサン
Hear
タ
you? Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Hear you.
大に沿った来週見に行かなくちゃ
Okay. Oh, I understand.
Tropical Bridge Beechcraft
Heidi.
Model
We'll
36
see if you drop
Onishi
out,
after
drop
I'll
one
go
more
see
time
this
if you wanna
guy
tell us
next
about
week.
yourself and your channel.
Sounds good.
Go ahead.
Sure. Okay. Hello. Apologies. So yes, I am Heidi Illogical. I do flight simming primarily. I started out doing reading, but then as I got into actual real life flying, I decided to use the sim as sort of a practice thing. And yeah, it's been great getting to know the community and getting that working out procedures and flows so that I didn't have to pay too much for it in the
いいですね
actual
とか
lessons. So
隊長おはようございます今日もよろしくお願いしま
So
す
that is a fantastic note. This is something that
Good morning. Thank you also
Yes, our
today.
channel for Learn to Fly has mentioned as well in the past that if you are training to be a pilot, as Factual may pursue in the future as she works on a private
韓
pilot's
国
license,
早いのかなやっ
you
ぱ
can, when you're home away from your training, use Microsoft Flight Simulator as a practice or training tool. Now, I always caution there's a right and a wrong way to do this. The wrong way to do it is to show up to your flight lesson. And Heidi, I hope you never encounter one of these
Yeah.
people. If you do, I apologize on behalf of the
エン
community
ジン
in
絞っ
advance.
てでも大
And
丈
tell your
夫
CFI, oh, I have 800 hours. of
Next
Microsoft
engine,
Flight
it's okay to
Simulator.
throttle down.
Don't
隊
do
長
that.
今日もよろ
Please
しく
don't
お
do
願い
that.
します
The right way to do it
Thank
is
you
to
also
listen to what your
today.
CFI has to say, practice the lessons in the air, and then when you get home, do
時計
those
どれだ
same
これ
lessons in the sim and repeat them over and
What
over
is the
in Microsoft Flight
speedometer?
Simulator at your home airport where you're doing your real training and simulate it that way. That is the correct way to supplement real-world flight training with Microsoft Flight Simulator.
But when you're in an airliner and they say, is there anyone who can land the
あ
plane?
れだと思うけど読み方がわからん
I have this many hours
I think it's me, but I don't know how to read it.
in the Cessna 152. I think I can do it.
No,
Right?
In the flight sim.
Yeah. I mean, if we need someone.
actual, the
Yeah.
real pro gamer move,
ものすごい低パワーで飛んでおり
Oh
ます
no.
and hand them to a flight attendant.
The taper
and
is
say,
amazing.
Please pass this to the captain. I'm seated in seat 13A. I have 800 hours in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to assist you on this flight.
I think you get a free coloring book if you do that.
What I'm getting
Please
from
just
this is
stay
I need to
occupied.
print these out and with the hours part do just a line and then bring these to Flight Sim Expo and put them out like that.
Yes.
そうピカピカじゃあ品がない
That is
love it.
perfect.
すげえ成金主義
Pika
のこ
Pika
の
Chan has no quality.
Don't be surprised if they
Stand.
bring out any straight games.
おーラグった
Handstand.
We're gonna need to keep this one in their seat.
Okay, Allison, I've got a question for you.
Oh,
the 1929 Women's Air Derby, as Jane was talking about, it was sort of like the very first women's only
じ
aviation
ゃあ隊長
event.
今日もよろしくお願いします
Female pilots on the map. And it
Thank
was
you
an
very
opportunity
much
to
for your
prove that,
continued support today.
you know, in the words of Annie, get your gun. Anything you can do, I can do better. That kind of thing. If you look at the roster of who competed in that race, it's a
世
veritable
界
who's
初の
who
女
of
性エアレ
famous
ース
women
なんか
flyers
エアダー
in
ビ
the
ー
20s and 30s. Why
な
don't
んか
you
お
mention
し
some
ろ
of
い
the
ダービ
The
ー
names
みたい
world's
な名
first
前の
Joyce Women's Airless Air Derby.
or maybe some of the ones that aren't
お
quite as
しろ
well
いダー
known
ビー
as
みたい
they
な
should
名
be.
前
Maybe
の、
mention what
レ
their
ースだっ
claim
た
to
らしい
fame
ん
might
で
have
す
been.
けど
Well, let's start with.
Apparently, it was a race with a name like the White Derby.
Louise Thaden, she won the race, the very first one. She flew the aircraft I'm in the 1936 race and won that too. Obviously, we've got Amelia. We had Pancho Barnes. Pancho
やっぱめ
was
ちゃめちゃ
famous
速
for
いんだ
being
な
a
この飛行機も
barnstormer's aircraft stunt
I guess it's
pilot,
really fast.
which you know was amazing back then. She was you know obviously in films. Then you've got oh crikey, you've got Bobby Trout. She was in the race. Amelia Earhart came third. Who else was we got? Who else did we have? Bobby. Oh, Ruth Nichols, another famous flyer. Phoebe Orme. Yeah, and Blanche Noyes, and they're the main ones that I would say. But I think there were 40 people who qualified for the race. Only 20 actually flew, and it included an Australian and a German.
Oh.
J.C. Miller was from Australia, and Thea Rasch
あの
was from Germany, and the rest were American.
有名なアメリカイヤーハートとか
The women were originally banned from flying
Fire
heavy
Heart or
aircraft
something.
because you know women. But eventually they did have a couple of
なんだっけ
categories. So they had a
What
light
is it?
aircraft which included things such as the DH-60
え
Tiger
っ
Moth,
と
and then they had some open
あれ
Well.
300 horsepower engines.
ライトスタッフに出てた
Yeah, so on the topic of women
That
being
one I put in the
banned
light.
from flying, quote, heavy
ライ
aircraft,
トスタッフに出てたサンチ
one
ョパン
of
サ
the
だったっ
rules,
け
I think it was limited to a certain horsepower.
I think it was 30% when I went to write stuff.
有名な女性飛行士たちが、まあ
Female aviators.
From flying in the race in her own
参加した大
aircraft,
会
which
だっ
she
たみたいです
regularly
ね
flew on her own and owned it
It
herself.
looks like it was a tournament you participated
Yeah,
in.
the
サ
organizers
ンタ
of
モ
the
ニカ
race,
からクリーブランドまで飛ん
indicated
だら
the
しいです
sexist attitudes that were pervasive at the time.
Apparently, he flew from Santa Monica to Cleveland.
Aircraft above a certain horsepower, even though this one particular pilot had already proven beyond any reasonable doubt that obviously she
うわ
could.
かっこいいピカピカ
Yeah.
趣味は悪いけどまあ
Cool
まあ
shiny.
So, with the start of the Derby, how it got started, it was this. There's a woman named Elizabeth McQueen who approached Cliff Henderson. He was the guy that was starting to make all these air races, of course, for men. And she approached him and said, "Why couldn't there be a women's race?"
Mm,
And she said, "I'm
Africa.
sure it would attract a lot of
Action,
attention from the
kakkoi.
United States." And
Shiny
Henderson was very
handshake and
intrigued
cool.
by her idea.
こう
But they first thought, you know, doing what the men do,
Escort.
you know, from all the way from California to Cleveland was not feasible. They thought, we'll let them have maybe a 2-day race or something like that.
フラップ下ろしたら
One piece.
But that,
皆
of
皆
course,
さん
did
に合
not
わせや
fly
すく
with
なったかな
the aviators. They
Misa,
thought,
I
"There's no
wonder
way
if
we
everyone
can do
has
what
found
men
it
do,
easier
right?
to
We don't want
forget.
a shortened race. We don't want all these types of rules." So it took a lot of, I think, compromising to get to the
Full
spot
cat.
where they could actually host the race, starting in Santa Monica, all the way to Cleveland. But there were still a lot more rules added
ん
that
下ろすぞ
that weren't necessarily ones for
2 段
the
ぐらい
men's
下ろ
races,
す
of course.
If you lower it about 2 steps.
Interestingly, although he was interested in this one, he banned women from flying the 1934 Bendix Trophy.
Mm. And that was that because of the 1929 race? How
No,
it
it's because there was a crash on a race in 1933,
was? Okay.
deemed too dangerous.
Yeah.
Even though people died on this race, at least one woman died.
Yeah.
Now, Jane, you have with you a very excellent book that was published, I want to say, about 5 or 6 years ago.
They do.
It's about the early days of women's aviation. And this event, yes, called Fly Girls, see there. This event, the 1929 Women's Air Derby, features very prominently in that book, if I recall.
It is,
Love.
and if Chet allows me, I'd love to read some quick paragraphs from it, as throughout the flight. Hi Emma, and hi Chewbacca. Welcome.
I see a great question from chat,
Welcome.
directed towards Allison and Heidi. This comes from PH Job.
今日
We'll
は
start
久し
with
ぶりに
Allison, and then we'll do Heidi's.
女性のコミュニティマネージャーのジェーンさんがいらっしゃってますね。女性の日ですからね。最近あんまり参加されてなかったんで
Today
す
is
け
the
ど。
first time in a while that the female community manager, Jane, is here because it's Women's Day.
The fact that the terrifying part was that he was sending me off. The exhilarating part was I completed it all without messing it up, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it one where you were? Did they surprise you with it? Or,
Yes.
or-
Yeah. I
okay.
wasn't expecting it. Yeah.
It's always
So
the best.
he
これ
got
は
out and
工
said,
業
right.
地帯
No
なんで
room
す
for
よ
anxiety.
ね
You。just go.
No, literally, he stepped out and said,
Is this area an industrial area?
basically,
Off
yeah.
you go. Well, how about
But
you,
this is
Heidi?
the pilot. This is the CFI. He made me do my first landing on my third lesson.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Really? Okay. Well, mine was a little bit different from that. I was told that I was going to be ready pretty soon, and I kind of pushed it off. But then I got to the point where I just decided I'm gonna have to do
あれ
it.
これもタイ
I
トル
psyched
と同
myself
じ
up
飛行
for
機か
it.
な。
Finally,
ビ
did a
ーチク
couple
ラ
of
フトの
landings.
モデル
I wonder if this is the same
Yeah.
airplane as my physical
Having to go and do
condition.
it, definitely exhilarating and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah.
M339
Great to have done.
I have a follow-up question
M339.
from Heidi, and I hope we have you back on the stream at a future date when you may be able to speak from experience on this question. For now, this is going to be a hypothetical.
Okay.
What do you think will be more nerve-wracking? Your own personal first solo flight, or as a CFI, the first time you send a student on their first solo flight?
Probably going to be the student. That's a lot of
Ooh.
responsibility,
Lovely,
which is
lovely.
actually why I was nervous about becoming a CFI.
I'm already having trouble with the
Yeah,
rug.
like the first solo, you know what you've done, you know how
あ
you've trained, so
TBM930 っ
you
てや
can
つかな。
trust yourself in that way. But it is. It's
8, I think it's called
their life
BM930.
in
めっ
your
ちゃ
hands, and
予
your
告編面白
words
そうなの
in
で、
their hands, so it's going
が
to be,
ぜ
it's
見
going to
に
be
行く気になっ
interesting.
ております。
The trailer
なんかア
looks
メリカでの
interesting, so I'm suddenly interested in going to see
みた
it.
いですな。
Part of the actual 1929
予
race.
告編がもうめちゃめちゃ面白そうですからね。
And I believe
The trailer looks really interesting.
I believe all the women pilots landed here in San Bernardino from Santa Monica, and there were a bunch of festivities and banquets and handshaking with celebrities and VIPs and things like that happened here in San Bernardino. Is that correct?
Yes.
And
I am
I think
just,
they overnighted here in San Bernardino and then proceeded onwards to Phoenix the next day. And as always, please let me know for our panelists when you are on final.
アメリカ、リアルタイム、リアルウェザー。
I'm getting there.
America real time, real weather.
Yeah, it's not really. Oh, I thought I'd lost my engine.
I love the look of your plane, Alan.
いや
Inner
ー
wing?
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
No.
ファイヤー。
Yeah, the stag wings are beauty.
Big fire.
この激な飛行
Elkin
機
David's got an
スピー
interesting
ドファイヤーでも
question.
撮ってま
What
す
were
か
the speeds,
早いな。
the cruising speed or airspeed?
Would you like to chase after me with this plane in a Spitfire? That's fast.
Ooh, crikey. Well, obviously, the lighter aircrafts would have been around 90 odd knots.
しかしスピードならこの飛行機でも速いと思う。
I can't remember.
But
what
if
the
it's
transfer is.
speed, I think it's fast enough to attack.
第二次世界大戦最優秀と言われたこの
Not quite sure.
I'm making a turn from
This
base
was
onto
said to
the
be the
road
best
along
World
the
War
route.
II
Any
match.
of our other
ノースア
panelists
メリカン
close
ム
to
スタン
landing?
グ戦闘機
I was, but I'm gonna do a little
Comstang fighter
little
jet.
circuit pattern because I was listening to the chat as usual, and I overflew the airport.
Yeah, I did too. So we're just gonna go.
ワイルドキ
Okay,
ャ
you can skip the touch and go.
Okay.
Wildcat.
I
I'm
may
on
have had
a
to
long
have dived for it.
Oh, Allison, are you close to
I'm
landing?
long final.
Dive
long
for it.
final.
Long
Oh.
final.
Long final.
ここ
Okay,
でタッ
then I'm
チ
gonna
ングだっ
read a
た
little
か
quote here about when they were
なる
trying to
ほど
organize this
Was
race.
it tacking here?
When Henderson
タッチングをしていくか
first
じゃ
suggested that they only do like a 2-day
Factory.
race, right? So we mentioned Louis.
タッチアンド
Smith,
ゴー
so
します
you know that that's the person who won. But
Touch
when
and
they
go.
found out about that, it says Thaden and Earhart met to discuss the proposed changes and how the two most famous female aviators in the world would not abide by them. As Thaden saw it, Henderson and the men were trying to turn the women's derby into a pink tea affair, a precious little race for precious little women flying their precious little planes. Thaden says, if this is to be a derby, let's have it. Otherwise, we will be
Flutter
able to stop
rupture.
the aeronautical
ギアダウンじゃ
you know, women can't fly, can't navigate, have to do this and this in order to do anything. And Earhart agrees. She might have been even angrier than Thaden about the men's proposals.
滑走路はどこじゃある
By
か
the spring of 1929, she was published in a magazine.
Where is the runway?
She was ready to throw the full weight of her name behind the bold plan. They would boycott the women's derby and not go at all. Only a few weeks after they talked about it, Earhart and Thaden put this plan into action. Earhart publicly denounced that the men's plans were ridiculous and would turn the derby into a joke. So, if that's what the race ordinators wanted, then that's fine. But they needed to know that Earhart, Thaden, and every other real female pilot were going to skip
め
it.
ちゃめちゃ速い
So
の
that was probably
このアプローチスピード
a big news for
Ah,
for
mm.
people
It's
like
so
Henderson
fast
who were
and
trying to
big.
host it. Like if they couldn't get the real aviators flying, then it might be maybe they should change the rules.
めちゃめちゃ下手くそ
So they had to strike a compromise.
It's so bad.
The women could fly alone. They wouldn't have to have a man with them. They could fly all the way from
す
Santa
げえ降
Monica
り
if
て
they
くなこの
wanted.
飛行
Each entrant had to be a real pilot with 100 hours of experience in the air and 50 hours
あれ
of
足出した
previous
出したの
cross-country flying. No starlets were allowed that were just seeking fame, but in exchange, the women had to agree to make stops and overnight stays along the way, so the grueling journey would be
Those.
more manageable. We got a
はいフルパワー
landing.
うおー
That was,
Gotta go,
す
CD.
げえ
that
横
was a
滑
pretty
り
nice
する
landing, I have to say.
Skid.
Smooth
Very
touchdown right
nice.
on the center line. And rotate. Positive brake
だっ
gear
た
up.
か
All right, go ahead, Jane. Let's switch over to
プロップ
Allison.
ザス
Sure.
For her landing.
So yeah, they had to make
どんどん降りちゃうか
15 stops in all.
Mosquito.
At least to start. That's how it
Yeah.
started. So the women did agree to this. They thought that was the best offer that they were gonna get. And then
おっ
the
さんが
derby
左右
was
同
back
時に足
on.
が上がるのがすげえな
You know, good for Thad and Earhart for refusing to compromise on their values and having that
Left.
rebel spirit that I think is common amongst most aviators. But you know, just saying, you know, we can fly this plane just as well as anyone can. Why should we have to have limited rules? I
まあ
definitely
空
admire
軍の
them
優がこの
for,
あ
for
消え
sticking
た
up for all their fellow pilots.
Yeah.
An Air Force hero has disappeared.
I'm glad they didn't settle.
ムスタングだとすれば、海軍は
No yahoos that don't have.
ヘルキャットでございます
Mustang, then the Navy.
No,
You can't just
no
you can't
stars
just get in a
studded
plane
engine.
and wing it. Like you have to be an actual pilot. But of course, you know.
The rules,
Good
to be
question.
fair, the rules of the 100 hours and 25 hours across country
Yeah.
was exactly the same as the men's.
Was it? Oh, that's good. I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear that.
But they could fly any plane though. That was where it was all different.
Oh.
Now, of course, the pilots we're talking about today were the trailblazers and pioneers in 1929. Of course, in the decades since, women have been part of air racing, competing with and against men, including at the Reno air races.
やっぱり乗り慣れない
Very
飛行機
notable
は
women pilots that have participated and won.
空が
After all, I'm not used to flying on airplanes.
Turn into the beast.
これ乗れられない人
All
って
right,
あ
I
れ
really
です
need
な
to get my altitude higher.
This is the plane that I can't get excited about.
Yeah, there's a hill to get over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm cruising at 3,500 at the moment. Should I climb a little higher?
I think about 4 would clear it, 4 to 4.5. 4.5
Yeah.
would be definitely safe.
I have this very annoying mouse right now to where the wheel, the scroll wheel, like doesn't work very well. So when I try to change things, it'll go the opposite way. So this is really,
Oh no.
really fun for me right now. Oh my goodness. I gotta get a new mouse, that's all.
Now, Jane, I didn't know this about you until about 3 days ago.
Oh.
Back in
What?
in 2020, before Microsoft Flight Simulator launched in August of that year, you wrote a feature article on our website about the 1929 Women's Air Derby.
I did. That was my very first article at the job. And that was a really great introduction, really to aviation for me, was to take a look back at that. I had such a blast. I saw that there was even like a documentary a DVD I even bought to watch about the race. It was so cool.
Question from the chat. Burstix is asking, are you guys in the Sim Update 15 beta? You are, Jane, if I remember correctly.
I am. I don't see a single soul out here, but I am. I better double check to see if I have nameplates on though. I don't know if I do.
I'm on the release build. I'm seeing lots of aircraft all around me in every direction.
I'm on the release build, mainly because I stream and mainly I want people to fly along with me.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm safe.
there's loads of people flying along today.
Yoo!
I'm safe. Hey, Snugs.
この飛行機難しいので、なかなかアクロバティックできない。
There's
It's
also a nice
difficult,
paragraph
so I
here
can't really do
about,
acrobatics.
The very beginning of the race was like just to like get the feel for when they were taking off. I liked it anyway. So it says here, you know, they started in Santa Monica. They were on the shores of the Pacific. Cloverfield was crawling with spectators. They mobbed the starting line on the earthen runway, pressed in to give the women bouquets of
おー、いい
flowers,
とこですな、
and
こ
swarmed
こら
over the
辺。
nearby hill with the view of the field. Some
It's a good
20,000
place around
people in
here.
all looked to size up the female
America.
pilots before they flew to their first stop. San
America.
Bernardino.
America.
Famous aviators were there.
アメリカ
Hollywood
もいろ
stars
んな
like
景
Will
色がある
Rogers were
国です
too,
から
and of course the
な。
reporters came out. It was for Henderson.
America is also a country with many different
That's
landscapes.
what we're flying.
Leonardo DiCaprio meme. Hey, he said the thing.
And Will Rogers was the one that dubbed it the Powder Puff Derby.
That is true. Yeah, there's a paragraph out here about that too.
Yeah.
So, there's that trivia question. What was this race also
ここにタ
referred
ッチアンド
to
ゴーするの
sometimes? And it is the powder
このスピードじゃ
puff
無理や
derby.
ね。
Oh, sorry.
It's impossible at this speed.
Too
ロ
smart.
パー。
Sorry if I could just jump in really quick.
Proper.
Emma is asking no music today. I have music playing. Are people not hearing it? I could turn the volume up maybe. Okay, stand by. Let me turn the music volume up.
じゃあムスタングはチャック・イエーガーも乗ってたんじゃないか
Okay, what about
な
Here now.
チャールズ・チャック・イ
Mushi
エーガー
San probably had a Chuck movie too.
え
Okay, go ahead, Jane.
世界で初めて
Oh,
音
you
速
know,
を超
whenever
え
you
た
guys want to
パイロッ
interrupt,
トです
please do.
ね
I'm just so into this that.
He was the first pilot in the
Okay,
world
you
to
took
exceed
very
the
interesting
speed of
chat
sound.
questions. Please stop me.
It's lovely hearing you talk about it.
What this little part is interesting here because it shows that the disparity that women who were flying, they didn't need to just be able to fly, they needed to be perfect at flying to be considered good at flying. So Here's something that was said by Earhart. She said, "The men, have been somewhat worried about such
おお
long
鉄
flight
塔
for
があ
us.
るわ
And they seem to have visions of us smashing up all over the
There's
countryside.
already a
So
steel
the thing
tower.
for us to do is to prove that their fears
この
have
飛
been
行機やっぱ
foolish.
り難しい
David
な
agrees all summer she'd been saying
ちょ
the
っと
same
前と
thing, that
乗
the
り味
women
が変
couldn't
わった
just
よう
be
な
good,
気が
they
する
needed
な
to be perfect. 100%
This plane is really difficult. I feel like it's
Unduly
changed.
careful. If the Derby is run off without a mishap, it'll be a big boost for aviation in general. She said, but the opposite was also true. If there is a mishap, the Derby will defeat itself. So there was so much pressure on them to not mess up in their own right, because they obviously wanted to be taken seriously as a pilot. So just that added pressure, I'm sure, led to some of the things we'll talk about later, which happens during the race.
If a woman messes up, no one will.
おおいつの間にかこのところに入って
The
きとっ
unfair
た
double standard. Women not only have to do it
When do you come in?
they have to do it better than men to be taken
ちょっ
seriously.
と気を使い
And
ます
that
操
applies
縦
to
に
a lot of things, not just flying.
Be a little careful when
気軽に手
maneuvering.
足のようにっていう感じではちょっと
I'm
な
going to
い
ask you this for
飛行機ですね
It doesn't feel like that at all.
what do pilots often say after positive rate?
You're up.
Yeah. Wink, wink, hint.
おおすげえなこの
Have you got your gear down?
Oh,
This is already
無
amazing.
駄なんでも近づきすぎだね
now up.
こんな
I
に
was
近
like,
づけ
I
て
thought there
風
was
車
like a
も
pun
使
joke
ってんの
coming. I was like,
No,
what?
I
I love you so much. Are you using a windmill really close to it?
Just that it was after the comment that like women have to be perfect.
じゃあお腹も見に行ってきます
But of course.
Yep.
Happy 51. One more kill. Then I'll go check your stomach.
なんかすごいひどい翻訳になってるような気がする
Flying new things today. How fun.
I feel like it's a really terrible translation.
Over a really cool wind farm here. There's a lot.
Ooh, look at that.
It's crazy.
Right.
So many.
Thanks, Miss T.
すごい勢いでメインストリームから離れてしまってね
Well,
この
we
人
can
たち
change
は
the
別
trivia
の人
question
たち
here.
か
Allison, we can ask chat.
Wow, this is a sudden turn to the right.
Why was
These
it
people who
called
have moved
powder
away
puff?
from the mainstream are different people.
Let's see if
SH36 ってなんだろ
What is Shish 36?
they route.
Yeah, when I made the flight plan for this event, I tried to cue as close as possible to the historic 1929 route of the real race, the first two stages. Obviously, the real
こ
women
の飛行
pilots
機
they flew all the way to
速度
Cleveland,
系の
Ohio.
単位が
We don't have time to do
MPH
that
で
in a
ノット
10-ish
単
hour
位じゃ
live
ないので
but we'll fly
わかり
their
にくい
first two
っす
stages, which is Santa Monica to San Bernardino, and then San Bernardino.
This
to
plane's
Phoenix,
speedometer is in
flying.
mph, not knots, so it's hard to tell.
Now I have a question for Allison. While we're talking about the quote-unquote powder puff derby,
さあちょっと
Well, I
メイ
know
ンスト
Will
リーム
Rogers
に戻
coined
り
that
まっ
term.
か
Was it dismissive and
So, do you wanna go back to the
sexist
stream
like
for a
that, or
moment?
Was it embraced by the women?
No, it wasn't really embraced originally. No.
It's definitely sexist. And
Yeah. Misogynistic.
Yeah.
let me follow it up with the quote from this book. Shall I?
Yes, go on.
Okay, so after the women did have a couple issues on takeoff, up until then it was known as its official name, of course, the National Women's Air Derby. But once there were a few issues in the race, the newspapers and reporters began sneaking up a different name, of course,
水
which
梅
is the powder puff. So I don't think anyone
Right eye.
guessed it. So the pastel-colored puffs used to apply makeup of the velour of wool, and it came in 3 compact sizes. That's what they're referring to, packed in a neat little cellophane envelope. As one advice columnist put it, a clean puff is of the utmost importance to the woman who is at all fastidious. The term was everywhere in 1925 because every woman needed one. there were salons called the Powder Puff Shop, the Powder Puff Beauty Parlor. Now this
おお、
race,
そう
the
だ、
Powder
パウダーパ
Puff
フ
Derby,
ダー
as
ビーだ。
most people can call it. Because
The Powder
Medic
Puff
Caravan,
Derby is
Will
almost
Rogers, who had
here.
been there for the takeoff from Santa Monica, piled onto. In his nationally syndicated column read by millions of Americans, Roger coined his own term for the race, the She Derby. They are aviators, he said, but they are still women. They were only out 60 miles when
It's
they all
an
struck
eagle.
and wanted to have it their way. So that's kind of the basis for being called the Powder Puff Derby. And of course, this did not sit well with the women. Right after this, yeah, go ahead.
Can you imagine if that statement was equally applied to men? They're aviators, but they're still men.
They're still men.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
What does that mean exactly?
They're
いつもの我が愛
fly.
機。まあこの人からしたら、
Always young.
大後輩ですね。
He's a
こ
big
の人じゃない
junior.
けど、ムスタングの後輩。
This is a
Mustang breeding.
Did you say Yuma?
Yuma is our next touching.
Yes.
Okay. Allison, I'm wondering if you know more about this. Once they arrive in San Bernardino, the contestants began protesting another late additional stop to Calexico, California, 150 miles south on the Mexican border, that they just like threw at them all of a sudden. Like, hey, actually you have to go to this airstrip instead, like last minute.
I knew they protested, but basically it was all over the fact that they'd all done their planning and their everything.
Yeah.
And
And
just
then
throwing
they just
everything in.
threw in a stop,
Yeah.
which was,
いつ
I
かの
mean, I
も
would
のすげえスピードで飛んでる
protest it too. So they decided to just throw this
It's
stop.
flying at tremendous
And
speed.
the contestants, Earhart and all them, told them, given the lateness and that there were really poor conditions at this
ワイ
airstrip,
ルドキャッ
they
ト
would refuse to fly
前
there.
ワイルドキャッ
And
ト
they
翼
argued that
畳
they
んだ
should
まま
skip
飛ん
it
で
and
た
they
ん
should
だよ
just stop
な
at Yuma and then fly on to Phoenix as previously planned.
Wildcat.
But the race organizers in Cleveland threatened to disqualify any woman who did follow directions, and so they had to deal with landing here, and that's where the message came in. But message came into everybody via telegram that said "Beware of sabotage," which is something you mentioned, some about. So that's where the sabotage began for the women.
Yeah, someone had her struts, her wires on her biplane. It appeared to have been eaten through by acid, and another pilot had to deal with her plane catching fire while she was flying, but not by the engine. And it was later found that there was a cigarette butt in the luggage compartment, but she was a non-smoker.
すげえなアメリカやっぱ
There's already an airport
So
here.
that is definitely sus.
And the other sus thing that happened, of course, is George Palmer Putnam, Amelia Earhart's husband-to-be, tried to bribe Louise Sadden not to fly, or to at least not win, and let Amelia win, which she of course ignored, and went on to win, and Amelia came third. Louise Sadden was a superior aviatrix compared to Amelia, and I love Amelia to pieces, but Louise was way better.
Now, while we're over California, another kind of interesting anecdote from this. You mentioned Pancho Barnes of the participants.
Yes.
The race. Some of you may know
Amazing,
her.
Pancho Barnes.
She was featured in the classic
Yeah.
book, The Right Stuff, and also in Chuck Yeager's autobiography.
No way.
In the 1930s, following her participation in the Women's Air Derby, when she was a relatively well-known national celebrity pilot, she opened a bar, saloon / horse riding club in rural California, in the area of what would later become Edwards Air Force Base. And she catered her establishment, specifically her clientele. She wanted it to be all the hotshot test pilots at Edwards. And Chuck Yeager himself has famously said that he probably has spent more hours at Pancho's bar than he did flying in the air over the course of his life.
That's great. Really great.
That was Palm Springs, right? So that means next is Jackie Cochran Airport, another famous US pilot.
Yeah, very famous. She held the women's world speed record for quite some time.
Yes.
And first woman to break the sound barrier, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah.
She was trained by Chuck Yeager.
Mhm. Yeah, speaking of sabotage, it says one woman returned to her plane after dinner and found every switch in the cockpit turned on, every throttle moved, gas ignition primer, everything. Which is, I would be
Chairman
mortified
Core.
if I saw that, because then I would probably gaslight myself. It's like, did I do that? Did I leave all of those on? Like, that would mess with my brain, to be honest. So.
Poop, I can barely see people in front of me.
Did they say whose plane that was?
One woman. Nope. Don't say whose that was. Now I want to know.
Just want to check in on Heidi. Are you still having tech issues? Are you able to hear us now? Or?
Yes. I'm just not able to fly along, so yeah. I wish I could see what you guys are doing. But I am. I'm loving listening to the stories.
All right. Well, glad you're here with us, anyways, on the camera and even participating in our panel.
Good.
Yes, I am. I'm glad it's working now. Gosh, I love puppy.
Well, since
I was
Heidi.
wondering,
Oh, yeah.
Heidi. I had a question for Heidi. I was wondering, like what got you into flying? Like, what was going on in your life? What kind of
Quite a long time back and forth.
in that and what you started flying or flight spinning?
Sure. Well, I'll try to keep it short. I was going a different direction.
Hours.
Well, okay. All right, all of the juicy details. So I was going a different direction with my life, but I ended up
そういやオキュラスがなんか
Air Venture in Oshkosh.
G フォースの 4000 シリーズ
Yeah, and
に
that was a lot of fun.
対応してアップデートする
Wake
ような
Oculus is somehow GeForce 4000 series.
Sitting there thinking, huh, that looks kind of fun. So then that was the little inkling, and then I actually ended up taking care of an elderly relative of mine who was a pilot in the
めちゃめちゃ長い
50s, and she
It's
had
insanely
a
long.
lot of different experiences. She was a little bit feisty. She was sweet, but she was amazing.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to try to get her
しかしさす
into
がにも
a
う
plane
ぼ
again.
ちぼちになってきた
But
か
that was probably
な
not
んだ
going
全
to
然
happen.
これ
So
全然
around
出
that
てくる
time, I actually found Microsoft Flight
However,
Simulator.
it has already
So,
become a bit dull.
Yeah, so we were able to set that up, have a little yoke in front of her, and she had dementia. But to see her face light up looking at the sim.
Oh,
And
I love that.
I know.
Cat.
I'm gonna start crying. But yeah, she loved seeing me do the barrel rolls and laughing at me.
戻ってきちゃった
going off the runway 'cause I had no idea what I was doing. But then she
I'm
was
back.
an instructor at one point in her life, so she was trying to help me through it, and I really appreciate having those memories. And then after she passed, it kind of solidified my start into my journey. And then after she passed, I got started. And yeah, just
Oh, she'd be so
been
proud.
great.
家族の超周知したいの
I take her with me all the time. I have her little
Yeah.
pin that I wear. So,
Oh.
yeah. So
And good for
I
you
feel
for,
like it's a
flying
bug even in
super away
windmills and
from
extremely
that.
dense areas.
yeah, it was. It was wonderful, and I
Yeah.
really cherish those memories that I had with her.
Now, can I ask what type of
まあい
pilot
いやもう
was
そ
she?
ろ
What
そろ
kind of
戻っ
planes
て
was
か
she
も
flying?
うめちゃめちゃ後ろまで来たでしょ
The usuals. Cessnas, Pipers, Cubs, and yeah, I have her logbooks, so that's been fun to go back through. And she actually flew in some of the.
It's about time to go.
That's also-
Oh.
Yeah, it is. It's
So
really been
cool.
fun going through her
Yeah.
life since then, and really starting to understand it.
大
As
げ
I've
さ
gone through
な
my
飛
own
行機だ
You know, that's a really fantastic.
Daiki Hina, it's an
for me and
airplane.
Jane, who work on the team, it's extra touching for us to
うん
see
かっ
the
こ
way
いい
that
けどな。
the product we work on has
やはりこのくらい
It's cool now,
I'm sure we'll
though.
take a clip of you telling that story and share it
Oh
with
God.
the rest of the development. Yeah, no, I'm serious.
Okay.
I know all our coworkers would be really thrilled to hear a story like that, how the product that we all work on together has
やはり
affected people in
派手
very
にする
touching
な
and
らするで
meaningful
こ
ways.
こまで振り切れんとやっ
Yes,
ぱ
I
り
am.
なっ
I'm
ていう
so
話だよ
grateful
ね。
for it and
なん
appreciative
か
of
す
it.
ごい
So thank
久
you
し
for
ぶ
what
り
you
に
guys
見た
do.
な。
So are you ready to be a
After
CFI?
all,
Do you
if
plan
you're going to
on
make it flashy,
starting that
you'll have to
journey?
make it this far.
Even if I'm
It's
not
been a
ready,
while since I
I got
saw
people
it.
at my airport pushing me, and they have
Yeah.
students lined up for me, ready to
Lined
go.
up?
So,
Wow.
oh yes, since for a while now. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be another one of those. I know it's coming, so I just kind of
Mhm.
gotta buck up and do the thing. So,
That'd be great
Yeah.
though.
Do the thing.
yeah. yes,
You do the thing.
that's
Hey, I
that's
did a
honestly
thing.
what it is. Yeah.
Question from the chat. JP Signup said, I just joined. Just for context, when I'm familiar, the stream title says Women's Air Derby. Was this a women's only event, or was it an event which included both men and women? Allison, why don't you field that one?
It was women only.
That's
Yes, it was.
That is true.
That's it, right?
It was.
It was the first ever women's
First
only
one.
air race.
And the reason why there was a women's only air race is the race organizers at the time, the organizers of men's air racing, didn't want women competing with the men. And so they had to organize their own race separately.
Scared the women were going to win.
Yeah.
Thanks, Wombi.
Oh, I've got Factual Gull insight to my 12 o'clock.
Oh, nice.
So,
You're over the lake right now, Factual.
I am. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
And
at
I
like...
just wanted to share a bit of encouragement. To...
Sorry if that was a bit simple.
You were technically correct, which, as we all know, is the best kind of correct.
エンジン3個。
Three engines.
Yeah, I was just wondering if I could. I wore a shirt for today that I thought might provide a little
い
bit
い
of
な
like,
あ。
encouragement for Heidi in her CFI journey. So I'm wondering if I can share that.
please do.
So my
Absolutely.
shirt is from a TikTok creator called Maz Mitch, and I want to give her credit for it. But it says, "How hard could it be? Boys do it." And so I think, you know, on your CFI journey, if things get, you know, a bit hard or tricky or whatever, they do, I'm sure, for everybody. So how hard could it be? 'Cause, you know, boys do it.
Absolutely. I will definitely be keeping that in mind.
Okay.
JP sent us the follow-up
MU2.
question. That's pretty cool for their own race. I assume we share races nowadays. So the answer to
MU2.
that is both. Most races, air races, including the world-famous Reno air races, are co-eds. Men and women compete with and against each other. There's not a separate category for women. However, in keeping with the tradition and history and wanting to preserve some of the legacy of the 1929 Women's Air Derby, there is an event that still runs to this day in 2024 that is a women's-only air race that follows mostly the same route. Few modifications, but mostly the same route that the women in the 1929 events flew.
Yeah, and that's called the ARC, the Art Air Race Classic.
It is.
Really cool event.
Yeah, I'm planning on flying that this year when it goes ahead.
Oh yeah, on your
You mean
stream
in
in
the sim,
real
like-
life? What
yeah,
are we talking?
yeah, on my
I
stream.
thought for a moment
Okay,
you
it's
meant
like
in real
literally-
life, Allison. That was very...
That's awesome. That's great. I'd love to do that.
We did a practice. We did a practice of a few legs of it on
Yeah.
on New Year's Eve, where I did like a giveaway stream and
Yeah.
everything. We flew some of it, but
That's cool.
just to see how long it was going to take us. So
Now, when does that
yeah.
start? Is it?
I'll have to get you the dates.
Spring?
So,
Okay.
it'll be when the nights are longer and brighter.
Yeah, that's true.
But basically, we've got 29 hours to do it in.
Ooh,
Wow.
ま
non-stop.
だこの
Yep.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
when I say,
Of
when
the
I say
computer.
non-stop, Luis had
私が子供の頃は
stopped
日
at
本も
Kansas
飛行機
and then
が
did
作れる
stop
っていうん
again.
でこの MU2 が時間に乗ってましたけどね。
Yeah. So
When I was a kid, Japan was said to be able to make airplanes, so this Mew2 was featured in.
Now, once again, for anyone
こ
who
れ
may
と
be joining us a
YS11 っ
little
て
bit
いうのが
late,
日本のまあ、
Jane, can you maybe do another quick introduction?
戦後に作っ
This
た
and YS11 are Japanese.
And also Women of
有名
Aviation
どころの
Week
飛行機
special
か
Friday
な。
live stream.
Of course, we have
Is it a famous
three
airplane?
very special guests with us today. We have Allison Johnson, who holds a PPL, and she streams on her own Twitch channel, mostly doing reenactments of
うわごめんな
famous
さい
feats from
うわごめんなさい
military
ごめんなさい
history, big on
大変
education
申し訳ない
on her channel. Really
マ
love
ジで
to
申
see
し訳
that.
なかった
I'm
今
sorry, I'm
Actual
sorry, I'm
goals,
so
who
sorry,
is
I'm
an
so
avid
sorry.
traveler, likes virtual tours and
本当にすみませんで
so
した
she
ね
uses her channel, as she
ちょ
said
っと
earlier, for the
本当に
fun of flying.
I'm really
singing,
sorry.
have a great
もう
time together.
ぼーっとしてたという
Love seeing
か
that as well, to be factual.
危険意識
And
が
we have Heidi
大
Logical,
変申し
who
訳ないこ
streams
とをい
on
たし
her own
ました
channel as well. She holds a commercial pilot license with the IFR.
We are very
and
sorry for the
CFI
quality of
so
the boat
she
cable
uses
car.
her channel a lot to kind of practice as a flight training tool sometimes to get some stuff down as she's learning in her training. So we're really glad to have you too, Heidi. And of course, we have CDL host of the show and me, also another co-host. So
Senior Community Manager Jane.
just hanging out, you know?
And I put links to the channels of our three VIP guests today.
垂
You
直
go
尾
ahead,
翼
please.
に
Click
は
those
交
links.
代
Give
角が
each
つい
of,
てるけど水平
Allison,
尾翼
Faction,
は
Heidi a
あん
follow.
なすごいテ
All
ーパ
three
ー
of them
翼
are
ってい
fantastic
う
Microsoft Flight Simulator
レイアウ
content
トなんで
creators.
すね
And you'll be thoroughly entertained.
The
and
vertical
educated.
stabilizer has an antibody price, but
The
the
Fashion Week
horizontal
question for you.
stabilizer has an
Yeah.
This
amazing
one comes
taper
from Hex the
layout.
Legend.
Okay, Hex.
Hex, the answer to this is 0, but I have a feeling that might
へ
change
ー
imminently.
垂直尾翼の交代
How's the
角は
dad
何なんだ
joke
ろう
count today?
It's
I
pretty
wonder
low.
what the
It's pretty
antibody
low. You know,
price is for that
I
vertical
got such a
tail.
resounding,
か
like,
っこいいけど
you know,
Cool though.
kind of negative reaction
か
to
っ
my
こいいけ
flight
ど
simulator
主翼と
comment
水平尾
earlier.
翼は全然交代角なくて
We've got it down
Taper
for like
it.
fun.
No
Maybe I
jokes
should ramp
today.
it up again.
ウィングチップタンクやっ
It's
ぱりかっ
cool,
こいい
but
で
the
す
salty air and
ね
horizontal stabilizer
最
aren't
近は
coated
つ
at
け
all
て
and
る
are
子少
tapered.
ないけど
Later on, so.
Okay. Maybe, yeah, you're just like saving them, and then once you go live, you just drop 10 of them in a row. You're like, I feel better.
Well, on that note, why don't we allow our panelists a moment to self-promote? Bashua, you mentioned you're streaming later. Why don't you tell our viewers what days and hours you stream and what kind of content you show on your channel? Because you're not an exclusively Microsoft.
NHK News.
NHK ニュースじゃない MU2 っていう名前の飛行
And
機
that's normally on Sunday afternoon.
An airplane named
I'm in
Mew2.
Western Canada, so whatever time of day that is for you on a Sunday or a Monday morning. And right now I'm doing
あ
a
んまり
Canada
じっ
is
くりあ
really
んま
big
り
tour,
乗って
so
ない
it's
ん
not
だよ
just
な日
across
本でも
Canada,
意
but
外
like
と
in and around.
I don't really spend much time riding, so it's surprising how many times I ride in Japan.
まあいつもは
All of that. So,
速度域が違うから乗ってる方が見るとあんまり今みたいにゆっくり見えないんですよねやっぱ公式集会は
you know, shorter, smaller games.
自分もゆっくり
Because the
いろん
speed
な
range
飛
is
行機が見れ
different,
るの
when the
が大
rider
変楽
looks
し
at
い
it, it doesn't look as slow as it does now. After all, at the official
テラ
meeting.
楽しすでござります
So kind of a little bit of everything on Fridays, and this afternoon I'm finishing off the game Briss, which is this beautiful game, beautiful art style, beautiful music, and it's about moving through the stages of grief after a loss. So really beautiful. I'm gonna
Yeah,
bring out the dad jokes. No, I'm
素晴らしい。
kidding. I'm kidding. That's probably,
Wow,
probably not,
that's wonderful.
Probably not exactly the day for the dad jokes. But no, it's been really great, and I've had such a great time. You know, just with chat and exploring that game, and all the games I play on Friday.
でもよくたにこんな
Alright.
始末がしてあ
Allison,
るの
what's your
は
stream schedule and what do you have going on? I know
Yokotani,
you do a lot of
this is how it ended.
recreations of famous feats of
DRS 用
women
の
in
改
aviation.
造なんで
What's
すよ
your
ね
current one?
My current
What
one
are
is
you done?
I guess it's a modification for
そ
Eolians.
んなことってある
We're crossing the world in 33 days in the Comanche.
Circle.
The amazing actress in Comanche. Last week we flew from Honolulu to San Francisco. It took us just over 15 hours from end to end. the most boring I Spy game in the world.
I spy
However-
something that is blue.
Yeah, blue or begins with C or S. But no, this week we're flying from San Francisco down to Phoenix and then on to El Paso. That's Saturdays. And then on Tuesdays, I've switched it up a little bit. We have Antics and Airliners on Tuesdays. And for the last few weeks, Dougal McTavish has been trying to kill me. Where we've done things like the old Kai-Tak approach, which I did a minus 68 feet per minute landing in an A320, so can't ever land back there again.
That's great.
We've done Toncontin, we did Paro a few weeks ago, and then we did the crazy Paro approach this week, which is the fly over the airfield, up the valley, down the valley, and then left my landing gear on the end of the runway.
Well, it's okay. I guess it's a plane that you can only
Don't
take
it
during
too
races.
seriously, jump in an airline and we fly places.
Great.
Right, and Alice, we have a question from Super Typhon. Wants to know if your stream
翼
on
端とか
Saturdays
等
is
間
at
とか
1200 or
全
1400.
然やたらん
1400 on 1400 back to 1400.
I can't
It's only
find the
6 hours
Peach
to
Blossom
fly.
Pass on this plane anymore.
Yeah, it's walking to the corner store and back.
All right. Now, Heidi, what about you? When do you stream and what kind of content do you have on your channel?
Well, currently I'm in a little bit of a transition period, just post
もう
check
この
ride.
時代から
But weekly it's
ラジエ
flight
ー
sim
ター
on
インテー
Tuesdays,
ク
and
胴
I'm
体
really
から
terrible
少し
with
離すってい
scheduling,
う、
so it's usually
知恵
around
があるんですね、
300
これがね。すごい
But I
な。
actually started streaming with
From this
reading.
era, there was wisdom to talk a little bit from the radiator intake body. This is amazing.
I had to, as I was getting into check ride, move into more of the mock check rides and practicing with
まあ
that.
最近の
So,、
まあ最近
looking
のっ
at
て
getting
一
back
番
to
最
that,
新はそうで
doing
もない
kind
け
of
ど、
random
一昔前の
games, demos,
高性能ジェット戦闘機は、
but
大体
yeah,
こうやっ
that's
てエアイ
usually
ンテー
Tuesdays
ク、
and then
空気
Thursdays
取り
for
入れ
the
口って
reading,
胴体から
Sundays
ちょ
for
びって
games,
話してあ
but
ったんで
see
す
what
よ。
happens now that I'm gonna be doing the instructor thing.
It's
So,
not the latest version, but jet fighters from a while back were usually configured like this,
I
with the air
love reading.
intake
I love
wiped
reading
out
so
and the
much.
entrance just a
So
little
that's why I
from the
was excited to see you
fuselage.
pull out the book.
最近また
But I wanted
ステル
to,
ス
for
の
my own self, read the Edgar Allan
ため
Poe,
に
all
そういうこ
of
とし
that,
なくなって
and
ますけど
I
ね。
saw something about the streaming, and I thought that might be fun.
Lately,
So
I
that-
haven't been doing that anymore
so,
because
yeah,
of
that's how
stealth.
that kind of started out. So it's been fun, yeah. That's awesome.
胴体のそばって飛行機が引きずられて
So you started with reading.
空気の
and
勢い
then
が
That
落ち
plane
る
was
か
being
ら
dragged by
during
the
lessons,
fuselage.
You were using flight sim.
ちょっと離した
Since
方
you were
がい
already
い
doing
テ
the
イク
streaming
に
with your reading, you're like, well,
速い
might
ス
as well
ピード
stream
の
what
空
I'm
気が
doing here.
入るんです
See
よ
how
pretty
it
much,
goes.
actually.
そんだけの
Yeah,
理由なん
yeah,
で
I
す
thought
け
it
ど
might
ね。
be interesting to kind of share
If
that,
you talk
yeah,
a little
that
bit,
journey as
that
well,
faster
but
air
also
gets into the
kind of
intake, and that's the reason.
sort of for myself,
Yeah.
and it has. It's been great doing that and meeting so many different people that I never would have expected, and other opportunities like this that I never
も
would
うこれ
have
は
expected.
かなり先
So,
進的な
yeah,
設計
that's
思
been my
想です
favorite
よ。
part is meeting everybody and
This seems like a
different
pretty
stories,
advanced cough.
whether aviation or sim related.
And we do have a question to the panel. Do you get many women joining in with your streams? I think when you want to, it can be a little anxious. Open to anyone to answer.
It's been really hard getting other ladies to fly along. We used to get a few, but not so many these days. But there's a
す
few.
ごいやろ。その前に
I
ちょっ
would
と
say
キャラ
the
バ
same
ンが
thing,
見
like
たい。
every once in a while, but I have found that like the flights.
Before that, I want to see the caravan.
So
さっそうと飛んでいきますな、いつ
you know,
も
in。chat and flying along. Most tend to be men.
Always
because I think
dashing and
that's just,
strong.
You know, it's still our culture and you know, who shares this sim with their friends and how people get into it. It still tends to be more men than women, but I've definitely had women join and fly along too.
Yeah. Which to me, you know, it's why I do
セス
appreciate
ナ208キャラバン。
review streaming. I think it's really great to
2021
see you putting
caravan.
yourselves out there, you know, in hopes to also get more women to fly along, and also just in general, besides that. But I do appreciate you kind of standing sometimes alone there as the female streamers of the flight sim community. highly appreciate that.
飛行機もベストセラー機
We
なん
we
で
got
し
a
ょう
comment
か
on that. I
ね。
have no idea what this means, but I want to read it. Kevo
I
said
wonder
he
if
said
it's
that, and
Besoji
you have
station on the
quote,
plane.
Inviting morbid subtones to your stream, factual golf.
So as I yes, thank you, Kevo. So as I said, I do
Yeah.
play a lot of like variety of games.
Awesome.
The スピッ
And
ト
so
ファイ
some
ヤ
of
ー。
those games have involved
Okay,
some
big
dark
fire.
topics, so.
この方もよくお
Like
見
I've
か
played
けする
Detroit
コールサイ
Become
ンです
Human,
ね、
I've
公
played
式
As
集会
Dusk
に来る
Falls.
と。
Like some of those are, they do have. The
This is a
games
call
have some
sign that
dark
people often think
I
of when they come to official
Well,
gatherings.
Kevo might beg to differ.
Okay, I have a
Yeah, we
game.
have fun.
I'm wondering if you've played Factual because I just
Yeah.
played it recently and I hadn't heard of it and it was. I feel like it's right up the alley of what you just described.
Yeah.
It's called Little Misfortune. You
I have
played
it on
through
my
that?
Steam wish list.
Oh, I was on
Oh.
sale like a week or so ago, so I bought it and played. It's only like
it worth
3
it?
hours. It's worth it. It was at the end of the game. I was like, huh? But it's so short that even if it wasn't worth it, it's worth it.
I
It's
love
pretty short, so it's worth a try.
Nice. I'll
I
look at it.
love
I'll get it
Voice
next time it's
acting.
on sale.
In particular is just really good.
Oh,
You'll
good.
appreciate that at least. Yeah, in the art.
I want to talk about
Yeah,
something
you still have.
that, continuing on from this conversation, and Jane, maybe feel
あ
free
れ
to jump in and
スピットファイヤーって出てたのに、
more
スピッ
information
トファイヤーじゃない飛行機が見えるな。残念。
Obviously, both flight simming and real aviation.
That's not a
is
Spitfire.
real
I can see an airplane.
male-dominated
Too bad.
for the moment. There are lots of organizations doing great work to try to change that, make it more equitable. One such organization is the 99s, which was an organization for specifically women pilots. That was founded as a direct result of the 1929 Women's Air Derby, the race that we're recreating part of on our flight today. So if you are watching this stream right now, if you are a woman or if you're a parent of a daughter who maybe wants to learn more about flying and aviation, whether just for personal entertainment, recreation, or as a professional career, there are chapters of the 99s all over the world, probably one in your area. You can look them up online. And I can tell you, they would be thrilled. They would be absolutely thrilled if you got in touch with them and say either you're a woman interested in aviation yourself, or you're a parent with a daughter who wants to learn more about aviation and flying. They would love to have a meeting with you. They would, I'm sure, give you a tour of their facilities, their hangars. They would probably even take you or your daughter for a flight.
この飛行機も相変わらずかっこいいですな。
So Jane, do you have any more information to share?
This
about the
plane
99?
is still cool.
I think you
た
pretty
だ
much
胴体と
got it, or maybe Allison has more to share.
Just with the torso.
No, I mean, it is what it is. They do scholarships. and
胴
all
体
sorts
と
of things.
翼のところがこう滑らかになってないのがちょっと時代を感じますさせますね。
Scott was a member. The plane that she flew around 1966 has
The fact that the
99
fuselage and wings are not smooth gives it a bit of an
They're
old-fashioned
out there
feel.
on Facebook and all sorts of things. So yeah, hook them up, and they're
この
actively
飛行機く
promoting
らいの性能だとそんな綺麗にする必要がないのかな。
Sure. Yeah.
I did reach out
With
to
the
them about a
performance
virtual
of this
one, but
airplane,
they
I guess there's no need to make it that
Try
clean.
again. I would love that. Maybe they were just confused, like
maybe.
me.
So Englewood has posted a Wikipedia summary of the 99s in the chat, and it concludes with founded in 1929, and that's not a coincidence. It was directly because of the 1929 Women's Air Derby. Many of the participants of this
で
event
け
were
え
the founding original members.
やっぱり
of the
でっかいは正義。
And who was the chairwoman?
Big as
Who
justice
was the
after
very
all.
first chairwoman?
Was it Earhart or Thaden?
It was Earhart. Yes.
Earhart.
Oh.
Okay. Awesome. That's really cool. My cat's sitting on my book. He doesn't want me to read anymore. He's like, no, I didn't look.
My dog's sitting on my lap. She doesn't want me to stream anymore.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think there is a line from this book when we're talking about how they formed the 99s, talking about just the camaraderie between the women during the race. Obviously it was a race, but in a way they didn't treat it like such because they were trying to all, get there safely and prove that women had a place
なぜ
in
こん
the
なところに
aviation
テ
world.
ラックスター
So
が
there is a quote here that says, "In the air,
Why is this
passing each
place?
other, they
Story
wagged
na
their
no
wings in
kana?
greeting, even though doing so made them lose valuable seconds. Earhart was flying in a cabin, not an open cockpit, so she carried some of the women's luggage, even though the extra weight could clip her speed. And once over a desert town that she had visited the year before on her long flight west, Earhart circled low and wasted 5 minutes to give people who had once helped her there a proper
Hall
salute from the
99.
sky. And people also would wait for Earhart if she got left behind a little bit, so they would all wait on each other at different airstrips where they stopped. So in a way, like, was it a race against each other? Just kind of, you know, a race against trying to show that women could just have a race for the future, because it was really
ああ、縮
really
め
cool
た
that they were just kind of helping each other out along the way.
It's
To
got
make sure everybody was
And-
good and safe, and you know, had everything they needed to complete the route.
Someone in the race though was competitive, with the sabotage going on.
Well,
焼くないんだっちゅうと買ってから初めて見た動きに
Jane.
なるかもな。
I believe our coworker Chewy.
If I say it's not good, it might be the first airplane I've seen since I bought it.
no.
っていう不思議だ。ああ、多分そうだな。乗ってる人いるんだ、こんな焼くない。
Going back to 2020, we'll recall Jane
Low wing
initially
series
set up
off,
two
I guess
先
so.
進的なのか
I'm
な。
writing too much. That's not true.
exclamation mark route. And it looks like exclamation mark route has now been
It's properly
ヤコブ
used.
レフの
it is
9か
properly
な。
used now for Chewy's Two Blinder Tuesday.
9 with horizontal
ないんだ
brace.
っての気がする。ヤク3だったかな。ああ、な
See
いの
about
か。
that.
なんで車輪出すんだろう
I'm
か。
fighting.
着陸すんのかな。
No, I guess it was medicine. What was it?
Sabotage.
Yeah.
で
All right, now
ここは
Heidi, we're going to address the elephant,
Fire.
in the room,
Here.
or more accurately, the chicken in the room. I know everyone's been thinking it. What's with the
Well, this is
前の人
chicken.
は多分ちゃんと見えてない。私が持ってないとこ
He is my mic stand and my co-pilot, and for
The
time,
person
my,
in front of me couldn't see the plane properly. I don't have a plane either.
When I first started streaming, I was just, again, I'm cheap, so I was just trying to take what I had, and so I
ピカピカスピットファイヤーとピカピカムスタング。
and it kind of stuck. So
外部視点で並
Shiny
べたい。
Spitfire and shiny
並べたいけど
Mustang.
難し
I love that.
I
い。い
love
け
it.
ん。
It always makes me laugh when I tune into your streams.
I mean, he's also great because sometimes I play like scary games and stuff. So he's good to just hold on to and a little bit of a comfort. So yeah.
having a whimsical gimmick while you stream? Why I never.
Yeah.
もうピカピカムスタングにピカピカスピットファイヤー。ピカピカ
It
だ。
wasn't intentional. He just happened.
ピカピカ
A
兄
clean
弟。
Spitfire with a shiny calm Stang.
That makes it all the best, you know, like just the accidental things that become a stream. You know, it's just a thing in your stream now, and
変態に
that's
つ
what
け
it
ない。
is. Can't get rid of the chicken now.
Right.
Be
Move don't
outraged.
get attached to perverts.
No better mic for you. Sorry.
No,
hold
not
on.
at all. Stuck with it.
Distant.
Oh, we have a dog, a cat, and a chicken in this stream. Allison, what is your pet?
Well, I guess I haven't got any real pets. I haven't got any real pets. Ugh. But is that big enough?
Ah, that was right next to you.
Amazing.
That's my doggo.
My dog.
Oh. Do you know who would love that, Al?
ウェール3っていうのも持ってないやつだったかな。
I
Winglet?
know.
Even the GS3 doesn't have one.
York.
York!
Oh,
would
well,
love-
York?
へー
Have you seen this background when he's on camera? It's all stuffed animals. Besides
Oh, I'll
the
send him.
places
I'll
down.
send him a picture with Doggo waving to him.
Yeah.
He loves like stuffed animals.
Yeah, York's background is the boxes of every previous edition of Microsoft Flight Simulator and a collection of about half a dozen different stuffed animals.
Oh, I won't pan my camera around my room, but I've got.
もう砂漠になっとるがな、いつの間にか。
Now, Jane, you think that we were professional streamers?
Operation. I have to think it's me.
But we did not. This is spontaneous. When can viewers?
アメリカも結構巨大な乾燥地帯がありますからな。
What's today, Friday? If you tune in
America
next
also has
Wednesday,
some very
March
strong
8
opinions about it.
p.m. Pacific time, we have our next development stream, which of course always features York, Seb, and Marcial, and myself. We'll talk about, the near future of Microsoft Flight Simulator, updates coming, answering lots of community questions, etc. So that is just a mere 5 days away. So
ピカピカ
tune into
ファ
that.
イヤー。
Look
へ
out for
え
the。stuffed animals in the background of the screen. Feel free to say something about it. He reads every single chat comment, whether live or after the fact. He does read them.
はあ、冬に固まりたるがあ
Is
る。
he going to be an expert?
There are barrels that harden in
体
winter.
調だ。
That's a good question. That's a good question, and I think that'll probably be answered soon. There's a question, JP signups. Does Jane also have a stream of her own? Of
Sunday,
sorts. I,
76.
stream randomly and on a whim whenever I feel the spark. So I've been doing a lot of Lethal Company on stream lately, just because that game is hilarious to me. I love social gaming, so I usually do something like that. And I classify myself as a anxiety streamer.
There are so
I play
many
games
beautiful
that tend to
things
make
out
me
there.
panic. I play a lot of horror, scary stuff. On the opposite side, I am also a cozy streamer, and I like things like Stardew Valley and, farming things. So
Stardew Valley is an incredibly stressful and not at all relaxing
incredibly. So I still consider myself an anxiety streamer. So that's what it is.
Farming games and this
エア
is
セイント
stressful to me.
Sweet.
Jane, can I ask you to repeat the word whim?
Whim.
Jane, say
Yes.
cool.
Cool.
Now say whip.
Whip.
Oh no!
お
Now say cool whip.
Cool whip. I know, Fletcher. I'm so excited for the Stardew Valley patch. I'm gonna have to restart
で
everything.
他のプレイヤー見えるからアクティブ
We
な
are
気はす
approaching
る
Yuma.
けど
Oh.
サーバーと一緒に
I feel like I'm active because I can see other players.
Jenny Powers is here. One of my mods.
Oh, no. You're welcome.
それです
Here you go.
All right. We're going to change topic completely.
季節感感はなかったけ
Panel
ど
and the chat. Following up on
I didn't feel disconnected, but
who has seen Dune Part 2?
TBM9
As we're
広
flying
大
over
な
desert
TBM9
terrain.
ですな
Not me, not yet.
Not me yet.
Now both of you
I
said
have.
yes.
I have. And not because I was so stoked that I had to see it immediately. It's for very different reasons. I can explain.
It's
Because
a
the truth
movie.
is, I haven't seen part 1 yet. So, but I
You saw part 2 without seeing part 1.
This all sounds very fraught, Jane.
It is very fraught, and I can't wait to tell you why.
Can you tell
It
us
was
why, or
great.
is this a leading question for a future conversation?
Oh no, it's for really silly first world problems, to be honest. I was on vacation this past weekend, and it was a cruise, and we debarked from our cruise at like 8 a.m., but I couldn't check into my hotel early, so we were so tired. I'm like, we way too late stayed up, so we're like, oh no, what are we gonna do for like 8 hours? We're stuck in this place, don't know anybody. So I was like, here's an idea. What if we go find the
翼の折れたエ
comfiest
ンジェル
theater that has the seats that go way back
Angel.
and watch Dune 2, which is almost a 3-hour movie, and just nap. So we did that, but the thing is, it's a great movie, right? And it's super loud, so I ended up just watching the whole thing, and the person next to me slept with earbuds in, which is hilarious. But yeah, I did end up watching it accidentally, to be honest. It was really good. So, whatever.
Lots of beautiful shots.
very
of one of them.
Yeah, who goes into Dune 2 to sleep? It's me. In a really loud Dolby Cinema theater.
It was a book too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
that's probably me. I'll have to read the book
You'll read the
before
book.
watching
Yeah,
the
yeah.
movie. Okay.
Yeah,
so-
I tried to do that.
Like a
Was-
year's worth of streams hiding in that.
難しいなこの
Long
空
book.
気
That's so big.
There,
This plane is
if you
difficult.
really want to go down the rabbit hole, there are 6 books in this series.
この飛行機
And
本
then
当操
after
縦
the
が難
original
しいで
author,
す
Frank Herbert, died in 1985,
This song is really difficult to control.
taken a lot of his father's notes and written several more books
いや
to continue the
That's
series.
ーピットファイヤーもいいけど
Well
やっぱ
then,
トータルで見るとムスタングのがかっこいいんだよな
Going by what I've seen online, the answer
if you look at it as a whole, the Mustang is cool.
I've got the Yuma Airport site. Anyone else want to do a touch and go here?
Nice.
We're doing touch and goes though, right?
Yep, I plan to. Allison, how close are you to the airport?
A while out.
Okay, I'm on a long left base. Is anyone
Okay.
closer to me to the touch and go?
I'm a while out too.
I had a couple sentences about Yuma in this book.
From
So
the
remember,
original race, the 1929 race?
yeah, in this book. So remember how they added that stop in Mexico and Calexico, is that how you say it? Which was the very last minute stop, and they didn't like
Ooh.
it, but they did it anyway. But then they went towards Yuma and Phoenix.
Already.
Okay, so they went to Calexico as directed.
つこ
And stopping later that morning in
Strawberry.
Yuma, and it said an airfield that seemed more like a sandbox than a runway. The sand was so deep that the wheels on the women's planes dug in upon touchdown, bringing the machines to an abrupt halt that tipped their tails forward in the air and shoved their propellers towards the ground. Theta nearly flipped her plane on its nose and then watched the others
もうちょっ
roll
と
in,
かすん
cheering
で
them
きた
on
の
in the suffocating heat.
It's getting a little
Things like,
hazy
stall it in,
now.
stall it in,
霞
atta
がかり
girl.
たる
Now hold that
雲
tail
の
down. Hold it
棚
down!
に
Oh
たる
lord, I hope they all make it. Earhart was the
The
one.
debt
only
of
one who
suffering
didn't.
has come.
Upon landing in the deep sand, her orange Lockheed lurched forward and bent its propeller, a problem that could not easily be fixed in the desert 175 miles east of San Diego, the nearest large city. Yeah, and this is where all the women stayed with her and waited to get it fixed. So,
Oh, the camaraderie. So they
Yeah.
could have taken
Could have
off.
carried on, yeah.
yeah, they carried on, but they stayed
の
there.
ランディング
They
ギア
said,
出
"Oh,
して
beyond hot in Yuma, my brains were getting addled.
Is landing.
So
の隊長だ
I'm sure I'm guessing what we're landing on now.
He's
is,
already the
大敵も
strongest.
ランディングギア出してる
This
It's not
point.
it's not desert. Yeah. So what
That's
plane
good.
was it that she was flying?
It said here
どえらい高いところ
Lockheed, orange Lockheed. So
Ah,
what do we
Blue.
think is,
It's her Vega
Oh,
5B,
Vega,
the aircraft she
yeah.
flew across the Atlantic.
Ooh, okay. It'll be interesting to see this airport then.
ランディングギア出して
I am on final into Yuma at the moment.
Okay.
We have a nice
何時とこ
paved
ろ
runway here.
なんだこっちうお落ちる落ちる落ちる落ちる落ちるうわ
Did they call a guy or a woman to fix the prop? It doesn't say in
ちょっ
this
と
book,
気
so
を
I
抜
don't
くと
know.
難しいんだよなこの飛行機
Let's see.
This
Wait.
plane is difficult.
It says she was having someone fly in another propeller from Los Angeles in a rush. Let's see if it says it.
So that's where the Lockheed factory was at Burbank.
Yeah.
これじゃなかったっ
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who the person was that
け
actually
これは
flew
これ
it.
か
My thoughts would be male because I would hope all the women were on this race, but that's not the. Who knows?
あれ
A little bit to the right of the center line.
That?
なぜ3モードがも
Not,
う動
not
か
my
ない
finest hour on that landing, I'm afraid.
All right.
Alright.
3 mode doesn't work anymore.
あれれれれれれ
Positive rate gear up. Alright, Allison, over to your point of view. Watch your landing. Or if anyone else is closer than Allison, let me know.
墜落したらスリーモードが動かなくなっちゃったじゃない。何故？
Not just a little.
Close.
All right, over to factual then.
お？何が起きたんだ？
What happened?
もういかんともしがたいな。
Both pants and divorce work
No,
now.
we're all looking at your screen very intently. Factual.
Yeah, no pressure, no pressure.
Okay, don't worry. We're totally not clipping fails these
マ
days.
ジでそんなことってあり？
And as a friendly reminder to our viewers,
Seriously, that kind of thing does happen.
Either because there are good hype moments, something amazing happened, there was some nice flying, there was some cool community stuff, lots
わ
of
ざわざ
aircraft.
死なないモードに
Please
した
take a
の
clip
に
of。that, or on the flip side, if we do happen to have an amusing
I went to
fail,
the trouble of not
particularly if it
dying mode.
involves me, please go ahead and clip that as well.
大失敗じゃい。
It's
So
not
far,
a
we're
huge
mostly going
failure.
fail clips, which I guess is, makes sense.
All right, factual, turning on to final now. Now, I hate to ask the obvious, but do you have gear down, factual?
I indeed do. Thank you.
Good job. As they say, there are two kinds of pilots in the world: those who have done a gear up landing, and those who will do a gear up landing.
Heidi, can you confirm this? What's the...
Well, I was gonna say if I was actually flying, I would be doing the
持
same
つべ
thing.
きものは
I
フレンド。
fly fixed gear as well. Europe landing
What
gear
you should
fly
have is friends.
in the future.
So you're the pilot who will do a gear up landing.
Yep, that's me.
Is it really that common, Chris? Like, or-
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, you have a checklist. You have your jump
Yeah.
check you do on downwind.
all right, so not every
The
pilot
G
is
and
just...
jumps.
やはり
Sorry,
持
of
つ
course,
べ
they
きものは
are.
フレンド。
I think that's just something that people, the relatively few number of
As
pilots who
expected,
do
my
have
friend
a
has an
gear up
ulcer.
landing,
Yeah.
that's something they tell each other to make them feel better.
Sure.
That could
yeah.
definitely be.
All right, that was a very nice landing, factual, by the way. Good job.
やっぱなかな
And
か
now
ア
we
ク
got
シ
Silly
デン
Dev
ト
saying
が
flaps,
起きます
three
ね。
exclamation marks.
Oh, flaps are already up.
That's why arc
And,
stand
resource,
happens.
And yeah, flaps are already up. Gear is already up. There we go. Check it out. A rare
That
moment
deserves
on a
a
factual
golf
golf
clap.
stream.
Well, that- I did see that going.
Allison is on long final now. Let's watch her landing in the stagger wing.
いやー、でもだいぶ視界が悪うございます
And
な。
next stop, Phoenix.
Well, visibility is getting worse.
We can all crash and burn and then rise again.
Phoenix.
That was a dad joke, wasn't it, factual?
I mean, we're not even registering anymore, right?
Nashu 24, this isn't a tech support stream, but if you go to the forums, and I put a link in the chat, I'm sure someone there might be able to assist you with that question.
What is everyone's favorite plane in the sim? Ah!
I know Factual's answer.
Yep. I even have an emote for it.
There it is.
It's the Cub Crafters NX.
Do you say you fly that the most too, or it's just...
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
Close.
Yeah.
Okay.
ちなみに
So
ど
that's how
の
you're
くらい積ん
exploring
ど
how
る
big
の？
Canada is.
Well, and I am trying out some other planes. So for the most part, it is NX Cub, and then I bring out some other planes every once in a while. When I was around Toronto, because that's kind of where housing prices in Canada are the highest, and you know, the greater likelihood of someone owning a little private plane like an Icon A5. I took out the Icon A5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So and then when I go up north, because there's just such big stretches of land, and we're gonna need some PO heat and stuff up there. I'm gonna be flying some other planes too.
All right, Allison, what's your favorite?
ミグ29。
Oh,
ジェッ
crikey.
トエンジェット
MiG
撮れて
29.
ねえな。
I have loads.
Can't just name one. There's too many.
Can't pick your favorite.
There is too many. However, I really quite like the Ants aeroplanes, the Havilland 60 Moth. I think that's very well done. For a cheap little plane, it flies great. It's got some nice
街
period
並み
specific
が
features,
な、やっぱ
including, pulling the
憲兵率
The
が低い気がする、ア
cityscape is
メ
amazing.
リカは。
everything's all nice and coated, and you've got a manual spin to get it going, and you've got yeah, it's
土
just
地が
it's just
安いん
period
でしょう
specific.
な。
I like it from a vintage perspective.
I wonder which one is
Now, Heidi, I
cheaper.
suspect I know what your answer is going to be because I've watched your channel a few times. But what is your favorite plane in The Sims?
I fly the 152. I started out with the default one because that was the closest to what I flew in real life, except I was flying a 172 at the time. But since I have been flying the JP Logistics 152.
I'm feeling well
It's better
again.
performance, and it also has the duck on the
duck.
back.
Yes.
Wombi's duck.
Yes.
I believe
Makes me
Wombi is
so
in the chat
happy.
today.
Yes.
Shout out to
Great.
Wombi.
Yes.
And of course, me, but yay. That's a great answer.
All right, Jane.
Change his zone.
What's your favorite plane in The Sims, Jane?
Oh, I mean, when I'm not trying to fly for real, well, when I am trying to fly for real, I'm always know what's I can do. But whenever I'm trying to have a ton of fun, you better believe I'm in that super Hornet, doing plenty of aileron rolls and having a blast. So that is one of my favorites. So, it's what it is. What's up, 10? How's it going? Glad for you to join us. Anxiety planes.
All
It was
right,
an-
I'm
It
like
was an
Allison.
amazing,
赤
there was an
に
amazing
稲妻
comment from
There was.
PH.
おしゃれ
yeah.
さん。
Lightning on red.
Question for Heidi.
Why don't you read that one factual?
Yeah, that's
I
pretty
would be pleased to. So PH Yap is asking a question to Heidi: if that chicken gets its PPL one day, will it get its chicken wings?
Oh my
Oh,
god. Yes. Oh, I love that so much.
We need to see a little badge on that chicken someday, the little wings.
I'm writing it down. That's so good.
All right. I'm much like Allison. It's hard for me to name just one favorite plane to fly in The Sim. So I'm gonna give a few different answers. I like all of these ones. Like factual, the NX Cub is definitely one of my favorites. Which is getting updated in Sim Update 15 with the new G3X avionics.
ダークスタ
from
ー
title.
ダークスターのあると
Seen
ころ
lots of
変態
positive
調
comments
ある
from those in the Sim Update 15 beta saying
Dark
that
star
as
where
expected
dark
now,
stars, there is a
they've done great
pervert.
job, there were modifications and updates to that avionics suite. So definitely NX Cub, one of my favorites. But I am a low-wing pilot at heart. I trained in real life.
Now, escort Spitfire and Beach in physical condition.
Well, but I definitely prefer low wing to high wing. So of those, my three
モデル
favorites low wings in
36
the sim: Diamond DA40,
Model 36.
the JMB Aviation
あ
VL3,
DC3 だ
and then when I want something with a little bit more performance,
It's
and
District
buy a
of
little bit
Columbia
more watch,
3.
I like the Flight FX Cirrus Vision Jet.
oh, I like the Vision Pad. That's a good one.
And Lipstick also, shout out to the Ornithopter. Just launched a few weeks ago. Of course, the tie-in to Dune Part 2 now in cinemas. That is an absolute blast to fly. You saw our live stream last week. We were all flying Ornithopters over the deserts in the Arabian Peninsula, and that was an amazing fun time. So do check out the Ornithopter, free download from the Instant Marketplace. And that is actually probably the most fun I've had flying anything in this sim. Much like Jane with her Super Hornet, me with the Ornithopter. That's when I like doing
Nice.
all the fun maneuvers.
Well, if I'd have known, I could have picked another airplane. Of course, I'm a
で
Cessna
本
girl,
当
right?
本当に
So
高度
I
な
learned to
制
fly
御
in
が
the
難しい
152 and 172. So, like, I
Travel
really
is really
loved the
difficult
Cessna,
because of
so
the behavior.
like, High wings for the win.
Extraneous wants to know why low.
Why lowing? Well, I'll explain that to you. As you are, go to my point of view so you can see this. Now, you'll notice this more if I'm flying a circuit, particularly if I'm making the turn from downwind to base or from base to final. So in the pilot seat right now, if I look over here to the left, if I was to do a turn, I would have much better visibility of where I was turning and making that 90-degree turn from downwind to base or from base to final. In a high wing aircraft, when you do the same, your wing would actually block your view of the runway. And so I find, having flown both high wing and low wing in real life, I find you get much better visibility from the cockpit in a low wing aircraft. Particularly in turns. Obviously, if you're just flying straight and level, as you can see here, looking out the window, the wing blocks part of my view where I'd be able to see the ground in a high wing plane better. But those turns from downwind to base and base to final is very important to be able to see the runway. You get much better visibility in a low wing aircraft.
Yeah. See, let's get some opinions here, JPS. Going from the Piper Archer, what would be a good next step for them in the sim?
Probably the Comanche, I would guess.
Yeah. The Comanche is probably the best GA aircraft we have.
The A2A Comanche is in the marketplace. Both PC and Xbox. It launched on Xbox a few weeks ago. So we're very happy to have seen A2A bring that amazing aircraft to console players as well.
I will say I am more of a high wing person, but low wings are easy
Phew.
in real life.
Yeah.
That's another point for them.
Yeah. Clambering up on the top wings when you're little like me, it's and of course they didn't tell me I could get a step ladder out. They had to see me struggle up onto the top of the wing.
Now, of course, the one downside, talking about fueling on a low wing aircraft, you must have an electrical fuel pump, whereas in a high wing aircraft, it can be gravity fed.
Right.
So
Yeah.
point in favor of high wing there for sure.
Balancing out. Okay.
There were loads of good things in a 172. The fact that you can use your EGT red line dial to dial in your lean over peak stuff. Don't get those in all of the little Pipers. So it's very good for students to learn how to lean their admixture.
So biplane, best of both worlds or worst?
Biplane definitely has the worst visibility.
Worst, I would say.
If you can recall,
No
flying
visibility
See
at all.
anything. They're just like flying by the seat of their pants.
Yeah, it's like the pilots of the when they were trained to fly for World War II in the Stearman. Normally, you'd expect that the trainee would be in the back seat, but they were always in the front seat. Sorry, they were in the back seat, not the front seat. And the reason they were in the back seat was because the wings of the Corsair would block their view on landing. So they wanted to train them as far back as possible so they couldn't really see the runway and they were landing, because they wouldn't be able to see it on the carriers.
We're talking about aircraft engines, gravity fed versus fuel pump. This became relevant. My ground school training from 27 years ago, 1997, became relevant yesterday for me. I was at Pump Trivia, as I play every week, and there was a 2-point question. I'm going to test our panel. Factual. You may even know this. I know you've taken ground school lessons because they're on engines. So, question to the panel: what part of an internal combustion engine manages the fuel-air mixture?
Carburetor?
The carburetor.
Correct. Well done. So you would have got a point in Pub Trivia if that question came up.
I do love the carbs.
And then
I don't like them when they ice up.
The second part of the question:
No.
what mechanical device controls the valves, the intake and exhaust valves, the opening and closing of those valves in the internal combustion engine?
Kodiak.
Kodiak.
The
なんて書いてある。
It's not the Pistons, no. Miss T and Zard have the correct answer.
Yeah.
I never
Camshaft.
heard of that. What is that?
Yeah, what is that?
It's the
Aviation
what
Sun
goes through the engine and it
Frontier
Mr.
France
Aviation.
アビエーション
parts of the engine
サ
you
ン
need to
フロンティアーズフランスと書いてありますけど、
Is it?
フランスですかね。
Isn't it interesting? I don't
Creation
know.
San Fran tears, it says France, so it must be
if
France.
you're in a car and your cam belt goes, that's a bad thing.
なかなかおしゃれだ
That
な。
keeps the time
ワイルド
how
キャット
everything
前
is
羽
moving.
閉じて見えたんだよな。今は羽開い
So,
て
thank
な
you
い
to my
よなあ
ground
れ。
school instructor from 1997.
羽閉じたまま見え
It's
るから
hard to kill
マルチプレイヤーで
Wildcat.
は
It's
残
not
念
open.
飛行機ですな。
Yeah, and Manteo Max is explaining it perfectly. The camshaft is like a steel rod with little nubs on it that spins around, and the nubs will open and close the intake and exhaust valves. And it's timed. The nubs are positioned in such a way that it has precise time that the camshaft
かっこえ
is linked with the
え。でもなんか残念。
the strokes of the piston in the internal combustion.
Cool.
So the intake valve will open during the stroke, and the exhaust valve will open during the exhaust stroke.
Very good.
We always do like to impart a little bit
This
of
is the-
aviation education and knowledge on this.
District of Columbia
So
3.
there's our aviation lesson of today. Also applies to any
Oh.
kind of internal combustion engine, including automobiles, so not just airplanes.
Mailmore has a good point. So food discussion will be dishes from 1929. So food and recipes from the
Wow.
Great Depression.
うん、
Is,
この緑。
Oh,
can,
wow.
can we talk about jellied salads?
No.
This green.
This looks so gross.
They do. It's like, what do we possibly have in our pantry that we can put together? I don't know that dishes of 1929 are.
Bread and pull it. Literally. Have some bread, pull it. Eat it.
Wow.
Dandelion soup.
Ooh. Yeah, it's a bit bleak. Cuisine was a bit bleak in that era.
Cornmeal with syrup if you want to get fancy. But it's 1929, pre-refrigerator era.
I guess it depends. Does that depend where you're talking about, or did anyone have refrigerators then?
Well, was indoor electricity common in 1929?
Began in
Seems early.
It does seem early.
1913, refrigerators for the home were
Oh.
Oh, then yeah. I guess
Yeah, I
it
was
would,
listening to what,
would
what Chunky is saying. They had
今日
ice
の
boxes.
隊長エスコートは
Yeah, and it
若
would
干
probably
地味で
depend
ご
on
ざいますな。
like your family's income too, whether you had
Escort's physical condition today is a little somber.
Didn't they have like people who would deliver ice squares like
Yes.
they would
Yes.
milk?
Yes.
So cool.
In horse-drawn carriages with great big, like pincer type.
Yeah. Like a claw machine.
Yeah.
Here's your ice. You just come out with a really big whiskey glass.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Often used.
See you next week.
Those ice people, the ice deliveries, they're often used in examples of where change is not linear. The step change is always a thing. So you know, it's like, well, once upon a time you had people delivering ice.
Yeah.
How many of those existed once you had the refrigerator?
Yeah.
And then you had the telephone, you know, the hardline telephone. Queen Victoria used to have a telephone. She only ever used it to phone the Royal Opera House and listen to music.
翼を閉じた
But when
ワイルドキャットが追い抜い
mobile
てい
phones
く。
came along, how many of the big names still exist?
A wildcat with its wings closed
Then when you
overtook
say
us.
mobile phone, how many of those big names, BlackBerry, Nokia, etc., are around today? Now there are smartphones.
Mhm.
So you can see that, you know, it's not linear. There's big steps, and if you don't make changes, you go extinct.
Mhm.
Crazy.
All right, we have a question from Hudson, who asks, Open question. What's everyone's favorite meal / dish?
That's so tough. Food is delicious.
Food is delicious.
I didn't get this shape by not eating it. I like peasant food, so I like a hearty stew with herb dumplings, with a rich thick sauce, lots of vegetables, and preferably some form of meat.
Yeah.
I just find it hearty, hale, and delicious. But if I want to go
That's
posh, yeah, then I'd probably go lobster.
Oh, it is.
I like a good breakfast sandwich. Eggs, cheese. It's spicy.
You make a good one yourself?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
No.
Mine are pretty simple.
Pretty simple and yeah.
Actually, would you prefer a breakfast sandwich or a breakfast wrap?
Sandwich.
Burrito!
I'm more bagel sandwich when it comes to the breakfast sandwich.
Okay.
But I see the appeal of a wrap as well.
Yeah.
The reason I asked our colleague Inquest yesterday made the bold claim that she had made the best breakfast wrap she had ever prepared. She posted pictures of it in our team's chat.
Nice. How did it look?
Look good.
It did look good, yeah. I was
wouldn't
jealous.
read it. Mediterranean fish soup, interesting.
Oh, Mediterranean fish soup.
Add that.
All right, Heidi, what about you?
Seafood
Favorite food or dish?
I am a big pasta person, specifically spaghetti. That I'll hound on.
What kind of
Yeah,
toppings
anything.
though? What do you like? Are you like a classic or are you like really
Nostalgia
fancy?
classic wise.
Okay.
Yeah, nostalgia classic wise. It's the spaghetti meatballs, but I'll try it all. Good with any of that.
And speaking
Chewy.
of our work colleagues, our fellow community manager Chewy has just raided. Welcome, Chewy and viewers.
Yeah, welcome. Are you guys all? Are you surprised that we're talking about food right now? We swear we've been talking about way more than food. It's really interesting stuff here, but
Also, I do want to point out that no one on this panel started the food conversation. It was a request
No.
from chat.
True.
We're giving the viewers what they want.
also true. Welcome everyone. We've been discussing the 1929 Women's Air Derby, very first all-women's air race that existed. We've talked a ton about
日本は
it.
エアレース
We're
っていう
getting
文
close
化は
to
全
the
然
end
ないで
of
す
our
から
route here.
な
We're landing Phoenix.
There is
まあ
no
でも
culture of
世
air
界的
racing
に
when
見
it
ても
comes
そん
to
なに流
meat.
行ってるスポーツではないような気がする
And
け
we
ど
have our
自
fantastic
動車レース
panel
の方が
here,
全
Allison
然
Johnson, factual goal, and Heidi
It may seem
Lodge,
naive, but car racing is much better.
有名な
all who have
有名っていうか
more
世
or
間に
less
感謝してる気が
are
します
student
ね
pilot or have all the way up to CFI
A
ratings.
dream is a company that demands something from the
So,
world.
great group
日
of
本では飛行機でレースする競技があるなんていうのも知らないかもしれないですね
And Chewy, I have a bone to pick with you.
You may not know that there is a competition in which airplanes are raced.
Bouncing controller. I see my classic route command is no longer accurate. It is just some gibberish. Some gibberish nobody would ever understand with these letters. Ah.
Now, for all the raiders that came in from Chewy's channel, Jane, once again, if you maybe want to give a
時間
quick
ちょい
introduction
眠く
to
な
our
ってきた
guest panelists today.
あとゴールまで何マイル
You
じ
know,
ゃ
I think it'd be even more fun if we go over and have
全然ゴール
After getting all sleepy, I headed to the goal.
Okay.
get a little bit more in depth with it here.
All right, Allison, we'll start with you and go from the top down. So,
Okay.
go ahead, Allison.
Alison Johnson. I've
こ
been
の
a
地図
Twitch
に
streamer now for just over 3 years.
フライトプランのコース
On
が
this
出なかっ
map,
た
I
の
do
はバグ
educational
なのかなあ
flights,
今はないわ
female,
一遍落ちてか
Not
ら
now.
フライトプラン外しちゃったから
and I stream on Saturdays from
Because I took it off.
TGMQ
for a few hours or 10, and then I
Formation.
stream on Tuesday evenings, flying airliners, not very seriously.
Formation.
And
Ah,
a good laugh with lots of
Name
people
it.
flying airliners along with us. So if you ever
Sleep.
fancy coming along West Europe on a Saturday from 2 o'clock or 8 p.m. on a Tuesday, we'd love to see you flying along with us.
Nice. And we have
Very
two
good.
questions for you, Allison, before we continue. Orion says, what type of aircraft is on screen currently? What are you flying, Allison?
I am flying the Beechcraft D-17 Staggerwing biplane with forward leading lower edge wings. Louis Stadden, who won this race in 1926, went on to win it again in 1936 in this very aircraft. So I sort of tied the first and a later race together by flying this aircraft.
And Louise had a co-pilot, Thelma, when they won that race.
Yes, yes.
And
She did actually have a co-pilot the next race, yeah.
Oh yeah. What is the mod that you're using that's showing the name and stuff?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I'm using Flow
I
Pro.
think factual.
Oh,
Oh,
Sorry?
That's great. So that's not.
Factual, you have Flow Pro, don't you?
I do.
You both have Flow Pro. It looks like.
yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Flow Pro.
Yay, Flow
Parallel
Pro.
42.
Thank you. Parallel 42.
Game-changing add-on.
It's
Yeah, it's
amazing.
great.
I love Flow Pro.
All right. And that will segue over to factual then. Why don't you introduce yourself, talk about your channel?
Yeah, so I'm Factual Doll. I am a flight sim streamer and variety streamer. I also stream some other games. Fridays, just a couple hours after this stream, is my usual time to stream some other games. So right now I am playing Briss, which is a game about grief, and it has beautiful art and music. And I stream a bunch of different games on Fridays. And then on Sunday afternoons is my time to stream Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I normally do some pretty casual flights, group flights similar to this, I would say, where we look at the site and learn some history and have some fun. And right now I am doing a tour of Canada. So join me on those streams on Sundays, or if you're in Australia, on Monday. And that's me. Oh, and I also stream with my little co-pilot Winglet, who joins me in Eastern.
いやー眠くなってき
All right.
た。
And Heidi, over to you.
All right.
No,
so
I'm
I am
getting
Heidi
sleepy.
Logical. I started out streaming reading, so we like to do that
Ah.
when I get a chance. That's usually on Thursdays. We're working through Sherlock. But primarily right now, I have been working on just flying because I do fly in real life.
It's difficult, though.
なんか思った通り飛ばんな。
It's been a long process, so yes.
If you
been
think this,
focusing on
you're
that
with me.
primarily, working through my training and sharing my journey, and that's usually on Tuesdays. So yeah, that's my stream schedule-ish.
All right. And I have posted links to all three of our guest panelists' Twitch channels in the chat. Please go ahead, click those links, and give each of them a follow and check out their streams. All three fantastic flight sim and other game content creators.
We're getting
Just
really close to our
素晴らしい。
Final destination here.
Great then.
How's everybody doing? Where you at?
I'm about 24 minutes out or something. And
Uh,
I'm firewalling it.
I'm 19 miles from user waypoint 7, which I believe is the last waypoint before Phoenix. Actual, this is the Phoenix. I'm not sure at the moment. Jane, once again, giving us some gorgeous drone cam shots of her
Gorgeous.
Cessna Grand Caravan.
I love to think that this is what the women were looking at when they were flying. Maybe not quite this time of day, but no.
Well, we got praise from SimTom complimenting your drone camera work, Jane.
Oh no. It's probably sarcastic. God, look at that.
Well, Jane, correct me if I'm wrong, but you are a real-life drone pilot, are you not?
I am, though. You know, I think my license has now been expired a little bit. You gotta renew it every 2 years. And, I better renew it. I don't have a reason to renew it, though, because I'm not flying drones anymore. But, you know, back then, it was before, when I first got it, it was before I was actually into aviation. And so I was sitting there like, why do I have to learn all these charts and the airspace? And I was like, what is all of this? Yeah, the Part 107, yeah, is the one, we have to take to get it. And now that I am into aviation, it all makes sense in why drone pilots better learn that stuff, because most pilots do not like drone pilots, because many of them pay no attention to airspace or the rules.
いや、なんかマジぼーっと眠くなってきた。
We should all try a little harder. When putting a
Japanese
drone up in the
seriously,
air.
I'm starting to feel
Make sure it's
sleepy.
not, interfering with important airspaces.
Every airspace is class golf if you're a drone pilot. No, that's not an official statement.
No.
That was very much sarcastic. Don't listen to that.
So you might get a knock on the door now, CD.
Yeah.
What do you mean I can't fly above the clouds?
いやー、
No.
あの山はどんなだ。
What kind of sound does this mountain make?
うわぼぼぼぼぼ。
So like, yeah, so I've had ATC phone me back asking if I'm still flying. Next time I want to fly, I can't talk now. I'm flying.
向かい角と、あ、そうか。
That is one
フラ
of
ッ
my
プが、
favorite
フラップのせいだかどうかわかんないけど。
of the
向かい角
bonanza
と
pilot
の
Reform.
the Bravo near Vegas.
上昇率の関
Can't
係が。
talk right now. I'm flying.
The relationship between the rate of increase.
I'm gonna go ahead and put this book away, but I'll show it one more time for those who are interested. It's called Fly Girls. It's by Keith Bryan. Here it is. Definitely pick it up if you're looking for something to read. Aviation related, and a really cool story about 5 female aviators who changed history.
Now, who are the 5,
Oh.
Jane, who are featured in that book?
Of course, we got, wow, now you're putting me on the spot. I'm forgetting all of them. Of course,
I
Amelia
thought it would
Earhart.
just be on the back flap.
Amelia Earhart, who stayed in. We got Ruth Elder, one of them. Ruth Nichols, 2 Ruths.
Oh.
1, 2, 3, 4, there's 4. Florence, Kling, can't say her name very well. Klingon Smith
Smith.
is the 5th one. So,
But one thing we can say about those 5 women, they were not ruthless.
yeah, indeed, they had at least 2 rooms.
At least 2 Ruths.
Wow, that's so good.
Now, Jane, do you know if they wore hats?
Did they wear? You know, there's lots of photos of them.
Flying helmets?
Let's see. I do
Actual
see
smiling,
hats.
because she already knows the punchline to this.
I can't even show it because it's gonna be a joke, isn't it?
Yes.
What is
Factual,
it?
do you want to say the joke?
なんでこんなに引っ張ってるのに速度が全然落ちないんだ。高度が落ちてんのか。
Come on.
Why did I pull it so hard and it doesn't work at all, but the cord is working?
Kind of blurry.
Here we go. It's like there's a person. That is Florence Klingon Smith.
Klingon Smith.
Yes.
Chewie has an interesting
Ani
comment.
kore?
Says, I share a birthday with Bessie Coleman about the
What's this?
太陽電池パネル
Bessie Coleman is an amazing person.
Panel.
The first
Yes.
black woman to earn a pilot's license, and she had to go to France to do it during the era in that part of United States history because of the systemic racism and sexism that both existed at the time. No flying school would accept a black woman as a student, so she had to travel all the way to France to learn how to fly.
Thank you, France. The 20s were so blurry.
That's what it looked like.
And they're like, how do we see? Good. And the one quote at the very front of this book by Louise Thaden, I see why they put it on the
いや
cover.
マ
It
ジ刺
says,
激がなくて
if
眠
you
くな
will
って
tell
き
me
た。
why or how people fall in love, I
I'm
will tell
starting
you
to
why
feel
or how
sleepy,
I happen
not
to
at
be in
Yamaji
love.
Private School.
So, that is beautiful. I love it. Peter's currently driving, friends. Careful.
I hope you're not texting while driving. Are you a passenger in the vehicle, Peter? I hope so.
Sure hope so.
JP, that's a good question. Why don't we refer that one to our panel? Does anyone know an easy way to familiarize oneself while learning a new aircraft in the sim? How do people on the panel learn a new plane?
Who wants to take it?
I do circuits in them. If they're a new GA aircraft, I just practice landing, take off, landing, circles, flying fast, flying slow, do all the stuff that I would do when familiarizing myself when I learned to fly in the first place. You know, to learn the characteristics of the plane, because they're all slightly different.
How about you, Heidi?
I don't really fly that much different, but I would say
Yeah.
the same thing, I guess, is just, getting used to all the different phases of flight and just really getting a feel for how the plane works in different configurations.
And I just kind of jump in, and I also like watch other flight sim streamers and talk to other people just in the flight sim community, and like I've been watching people for long enough that I kind of know like which streamers and which other
いやー
flight simmers
眠な
fly
って
which
きた。
planes, and so I'll ask people questions.
No, I fell
You
asleep.
know,
そ
how to
ろそろ
improve my
着
technique
陸
and
し
what's
よ
special
う。
about the new plane that I'm interested in.
Let's land.
The
Chunky.
other thing I do is I buy the or get hold of the pilot's operating handbook and study it.
That was
That's
Chunky's
great.
answer as well,
Yeah.
Allison. I was going to make a joke that
幻想
Chunky
銃にな
making
って
very
きた。
heretical comments. Read
It
them.
has become a dangerous maneuver.
Read
I was on a
manual.
stream once and I
Read the
got
handbook.
a gentleman to read a manual, so I think I won the internet that day.
That's funny. And yet, for me, it's ask Porter learn to fly because he's taught me most things I know in the sim. I'm sure people may have seen the flight lessons I used to do with Porter back in the day. So I love watching his streams because Tuesdays when he kind of goes over sometimes new planes, how to fly them. So I enjoy that about his stream. So other flight sim streamers, I think, I gain a lot of knowledge from.
Yeah, we have such a wonderful community, Microsoft Flight Simulator player base. So many people are willing to share their knowledge and expertise, whether they're Twitch streamers or YouTube creators. I saw a lot of comments in the chats saying YouTube tutorials are a great way to learn a new aircraft, and that's definitely the case as well.
Where do you get those POHs? Usually I just Google them and find them
Yeah.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, just Google them. And if you're very unlucky, then you can get you can buy them from places like Sporties or other
眠くなってきちゃう。
and they're very useful.
It's going to get better.
I love having I'm still I love having paper copies of things, and especially if there's some kind of guide, because I really hate scrolling through PDFs personally. So definitely love having it printed.
Or
Another question.
watch the Top Gun movie 5 or 6 times. That's how I learned to play piano too.
Now I know everything.
But it's also how I learned to play piano and volleyball.
Yeah, volleyball.
Yeah.
Me too.
Macau says check the War Thunder forums. Actually, don't do that. I know you're making a joke, but for anyone who doesn't understand what that joke is, yeah, I see you said just kidding there as well. There have been multiple occasions where a player of the online game War Thunder, which is a military simulation combat game, has leaked classified information that has
Holy
performance characteristics of various military equipment because they want the developers of that game to change how that vehicle
Oh my
performs in the
goodness.
game.
Oh no, really?
It's happened more than once.
Yikes. We're mods.
Not good.
No. Okay, we have a question. Was there a particular aircraft that you considered horrible to fly / learn to fly?
I haven't answered this one. Now,
ahead.
I'm going to preface this by saying any flying is great. I will always consider myself lucky to get in the air. But having trained on a low-wing Piper Tomahawk, of course, the next plane I learned how to fly on in real life, as almost everyone does, was the Cessna 172. And I did not like making the transition from the low-wing Tomahawk to the high-wing 172. Yeah,
All the Cessna people here are like, my heart. That must be a strange transition. Is it more common to go from Cessna to low wings?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why almost every pilot alive, at least in the Western world, has hours on 172s is they're ubiquitous. Like every flying club anywhere in North America and Europe probably owns at least one
Best
172.
option.
Yeah.
I'm currently
I
20
like-
miles out from Phoenix, by the way, Sky Harbor.
Yes, same. So about 8 minutes. I found the first time I got into a Piper, the actual flap lever
安定してんのかな、飛行
wasn't
機。
a Piper flap
取り
lever,
戻っ
by
た
the
ら
way. They'd somehow managed to like fuse
If you take a plane,
scaffold pole as the lever, and it just felt so weird
Whoa.
having to lean down and yank on the scaffold pole, whereas in the
That
what's that
is
172 you've got a nice lever and it goes down, you can clearly see your flaps. It was just strange.
Did you feel safe?
No.
Oh no.
No.
That actually reminded me of something else that I didn't like about the transition to the 172, Allison. Coming from a Piper and then switching to the Cessna, I did not like the throttle and mixture rods, I call them for lack of a better word, on the 172. I was used to like a throttle that you could push in and pull back. It was on a hinge mechanism, whereas in a Cessna, the throttle and mixture were like little buttons on the end of a rod that you pull in or push in or pull out.
Yep.
I don't know if anyone
Push
is
in.
flying. Anyone on our panel is flying a Cessna right now. Jane, you are. You might have it in the Caravan. I'm not sure, but I did not like the way the throttle and mixture works in the 172.
Like a pinball machine.
That's a good way to put it. Well, I guess I could say I went from the 172, and then for my complex, I had to go to a low wing. So that was a little bit of a transition for me. It was a Comanche. It wasn't maybe the best Comanche. So
いや
I
ー
guess take this with a grain of salt.
No.
I heard a lot that it was with the low wing, you end up floating a lot on the landings. I ended up slamming more than that.
今日は後半
Yeah, the
眠くな
door
っちゃっ
popped
た
open
ぜ
a few times. Yeah, the flap lever
I
was,
felt sleepy in the
less
second half of
ideal.
today.
But again, maybe it
あ
was
んまり
just the
物
grain
珍
of
しい
salt
飛行
rather
機もい
than
ません
the,
でしたな。
type.
Is it like the
It's so
student
unusual
plane?
that I didn't think to
Just
fly
lots
one.
of wear and tear, maybe.
It actually kind of wasn't. It was owned
Oh.
by somebody, and then they just kind of
Okay.
rented it out, which that can have its experiences with,
Gotcha.
depending on
Yeah.
what kind of a person it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was less than ideal, but it was good to have that experience.
Yeah, there's a Goldilocks zone on low wings, certainly the Comanche when you're coming into land. too fast and you'll float. Too slow, like you said, you'll drop like a rock.
Yeah. I think I eventually got it. It's been a while.
All right. I have Phoenix Sky Harbor International in sight. I'm going to do a straight-in approach to my 12 o'clock. Allison, Jane, Factual, how close are you to the
4
final
miles
destination?
out. Sorry, 10 miles out. 4 minutes.
あれがゴール
Yeah,
か
I'm actually the same, 9.6.
Aizawa goal?
Factual, what about you?
I'm just looking on FlowPro. I'm getting there.
Which runway are you going in? Any of them?
Any
I'm
of
just doing the straight-in approach.
All those parallel ones.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's 3 parallels.
Presumably 09, I'm guessing, based on the orientation.
This is 08.
That 08 then, yeah, that would be
Yep,
fun.
yep.
Right, 08, which was on the left-hand side. Okay.
Yeah.
Factual, by the way, if you zoom in on your PFD, it'll tell you the distance remaining to your
Oh, yes,
destination.
of course, right here. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you got it. So. Yeah, exactly. All right, so just when you're on short final, just let me know and I'll switch to your POV.
Yep, will do.
Roger that.
I'm actually going to start my descent
こ
now.
れは
Autopilot
明細
disabled.
だ
Autopilot? What's this?
That's the details.
Don't get me wrong, I prefer hand flying. Autopilot feels like cheating to me. However, as the stream host, it's hard for me to both fly the aircraft and manage different points of view, swap between the scenes, and read people's comments and interact with chat all at once.
Why can't you do it all?
Slightly pulling your leg here, but that sounds like an excuse. Sir.
ランディング
But I
ギア
will,
ダ
I
ウ
do
ン
hand fly every takeoff and landing. Every time.
Landing gear
I
dome.
never use an ILS. ILS is cheating.
Oh,
Well, it wasn't cheating coming into San Fran last week, I can tell you.
what happened?
The weather was atrocious.
Okay, so you needed that for
Yeah.
safety.
Now, obviously, I was still hand flying it because I was in a Comanche.
Sure.
But yeah, and nothing was visible until you were below 700 feet, and only then
Scary.
partially.
Yeah.
All right, I'm on a very long final now. I don't know if anyone's closer than I am.
No, I'm still.
No, you look closer than me,
I'm 2.9.
but I'm just behind.
Yeah.
I'm just beginning to slow everything down.
What do you mean, Bear? If you're a SFO, there's wind and probably fog. Apparently he's called Carl. Is that a thing? I need to know more.
全然見えん
To the power supply.
We've nicknamed the fog Carl. We, as in all of San Francisco, or you, one person? Calling it Carl. Is it like a San Francisco inside joke
What?
that you need to
うわ
live there
広い
to know?
空
Polka.
All right, I've got 4 white pappies, which is not ideal.
Uh-oh.
I'll be fine.
We're high.
Flip.
You're drunk.
People of San Francisco.
I got that factual.
だってば
Citywide inside joke. We go.
Ooh, that was a pretty decent one.
へえ
Soft touchdown right on the center line.
Very nice.
I'll take that. All right, over to Allison or Factual. If you're closer to Allison, please let me know.
I think it's factual.
Yeah, I'm pretty close.
Okay, Factual next. Or Jane, actually.
My stream is not working anymore, so you get. I've already
Oh.
landed. I landed 10 minutes ago, but it's fine.
私途中から眠かったの
A long time ago, I was sleepy halfway through.
I just crossed over to 08. I saw that there were Bit of a longer line, but people all had like 5 or fewer items, so I was like peeking over.
Ah.
Use the express lane here. Hope it's gonna work out for me.
ATC says you're clear to land.
Nice,
What
nice.
they told me.
これがな。
I am dropping my gear.
ちょっと踏みすぎてすぐにあれ
That one
しちゃうからな。
Even though
Masu.
all I need to do is land, I don't need to take off again or use this plane
No.
for a while.
はい、お
So
疲れ
I mean,
様
the
で
gear
し
aren't
た。
It won't be
necessary for this
necessary
landing.
anymore.
Yes, thank you for your hard work.
Thanks, Reddy Fox. Incoming butters, I can.
Oh! Oh my gosh! And Flow Pro shows me my landing speed in the top left. Look at that. Devilish.
Oh wow.
I was like, why did you say devilish? Negative 666. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's like a worst
着
landing.
陸ナイスランディング。
you got it down in one piece.
I got it.
Wheelchair landing.
So Heidi, as a CFI, if you saw that landing from a student, would you call them safe for solo?
I don't have enough experience to comment on that.
Ah,
Diplomatic answer.
I appreciate that, Heidi.
Oh, I didn't know we were being judged.
Oh,
Just
we
fire
always get
fell
judged
up
on this
and-
channel.
No.
Oh, crikey, I'm in a staggering.
Will you make it to our monthly fails video or your
今日途中からでもだいぶ意識を失ってましたね。
Hey, publicity is publicity.
Well, I lost consciousness even halfway through today.
Goose have been landing the admirable on their end. Very little experience, but managed to pull it off. Nicely done. You might need to just visit the chiropractor after. At least you landed. Cheers. Don't worry, you only have 225 cockpits. Or sorry, co-pilots in the cockpit that are steering. Yeah, that's really fun for us, huh? I think streamers are used to that by this point. Like, well, whatever happens, happens.
ピカピカスピードファイヤーだ。
I know
Why
in
did
Pico
you
my,
use your
fire.
best?
if I have a particularly
Pico
bad
fire.
landing, or if I crash
いいね、
the
ピ
aircraft,
カファイヤー
roll
と
with it and say, you know what, it's amusing, it's good
ピカ
content.
タング。
Like Pika Fire and
We're all human today.
10万ボルトとか
Not
打
every
てる
landing's
と
a
思
good
う。
one.
I think it can hit something like 100,000 volts.
Co-pilot seat. Yeah, are you in the co-pilot seat or the back seat?
Just noticed there's cranes below me and I've got collisions turned on, so
Whoa.
I
Careful
better miss
there.
those. There we go. Nice.
Yukdog, thank you for that comment. Appreciate that.
Get fun.
おミグ29だ。
Yes, you can always assume the Dark Star flying next to you is next to a legend. They are now a legend flying.
20.
Dark Star on our Friday streams, so it's a good chance. Enjoy your pizza, Ticker. Very jealous. I'm definitely gonna have some tonight.
Jane, I can't remember, was it you that I saw retweeted a joke about how you buy frozen pizza thinking you'll have it on a rainy day?
It's my sister, yeah. My sister said that. It's a big scam. Wait, what is it? It's a big scam that you buy frozen pizza at the grocery store thinking you'll eat it on a rainy day. As soon as you get home, you eat it
It's in the oven.
immediately. Yeah. As soon as you go grocery shopping, you definitely don't want to cook when you get home. So
いいかかっこいい
that's
と
why you gotta buy 2 pizzas.
Infika is
That's
cool.
my rationale, personally.
In my case,
One
I
for
would just
tonight, probably, and then one for a rainy day, which will be tomorrow.
Which will be tomorrow.
or double pizza tonight.
Or double.
Oh no.
Well, Allison is on final here. Just want to mention some upcoming streams. As Jane mentioned earlier, we'll be back for our next developer live stream with our panel of Jorg, Seb, Marcial, of course, hosted by Jane, and potentially some special guests. That's coming up on Wednesday next week, 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, 17:30 Zulu time. Be sure to tune in for that. And then we're back here on this channel, same time, same place next week for stage 9 of our Community Flying Friday World Tour. This week will be Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg. So both co-panelists Peter and Simtom's home countries next week on Flying Friday.
And all they'll talk about is fries probably the whole time. And
Someone please clip
compete.
Jane saying that so we can share it with Peter and Tom after the stream. Oh, Peter's already here.
They're here. They're like, oh. I think my favorite stream, we were flying in that area once, and Peter and Tom just kept putting items from their country on their screen, making them bigger and bigger, filling their
I
screen
remember that.
as they were fighting. That was so funny.
David, actually 3 capitals in one go next week. Amsterdam, Brussels, and Luxembourg, all in one.
Very nice.
If I were on that stream, I would wear clogs. Wouldn't you?
Oh my goodness.
Oh no. No, 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 no.
Oh,
But it was
no.
half expensive though.
Also, very nice landing, Allison.
Yes, Allison, nice one.
It was a little bit crooked.
Thank you, Susie. Well,
Tail trackers are always a little bit tricksy.
Trixie. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you 3 on with us today. Hopefully next time, Heidi, we can get your sim in here and show us some cool stuff. But
We'll
if you, yeah, you can always follow Heidi Logical on her stream for just look out for what she streams. You said Tuesdays sometimes. Just depends on your schedule
Typically,
right now.
Yep. Yeah.
So thank you for joining us for your first Flying Friday. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And factual goal, much appreciated as well. You got a stream later tonight, and you're gonna finish Chris. So everyone, make sure you follow her and say hello tonight. Anything else you want to add to that?
Nope, that's about it. Thanks for having me.
And Allison Johnson, thank you for joining us again. Everyone, make sure you follow Allison as well. So when's your next stream? Remind me again. Is it this
It's
weekend?
tomorrow, 2 o'clock.
Tomorrow. 2 o'clock.
Yep, flying from San Francisco to Phoenix right here, and then
Nice.
on to El Paso.
Nice.
Thanks for having me on again, especially for a special day like today, and a special week for women's aviation, and to recreate this story again. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Happy International Women's Day, everyone. Not biased. This is a great panel, in my opinion. We should all get together again. Oh, man. So we will see you next Wednesday for our development stream, and then next Friday again with CD and Peter and Simtom for the next leg of the World Tour. All right, everyone. Hope you have a good flight. We'll see you later. Take care. Have a great weekend. Eat pizza. Goodbye.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.
ありがとうございました。バイバイ。
Thank you, bye bye.
途中から眠くなっちゃいましたが、どうもありがとうございました皆さん。来週からはまた世界旅行に戻るんでしょうか。
I started to feel sleepy halfway through, but thank you very much, everyone. Are you going back to traveling the world next week?
ね、Thanks for watching. Have a nice day or good night. ありがとうございました。
Thank you. Have a nice day,
ま
good
た、どこかで見かけたり、したら遊んでください。では、失礼します。